My first guest tonight is one of the leading actors in the entire world. He has been nominated for his 7th Best Actor Oscar for his work in My Favorite Year, and his 1972 film The Ruling Class is just about to be re-released. Please welcome Mr. Peter O'Toole.
Right up here. Good. Good. Peter, all right. Pleasure to meet you, sir.
That was
very good music.
It's quite an entrance. Very nice. How are you?
Interesting.
Good. Now, let me explain something to folks who are now watching this a week after the fact. This is actually being taped the night of the Academy Awards presentation in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's deconfusing.
Yes. And with that in mind, quite obviously, you are not there.
No, I am here.
Yeah. And
wherever here is it?
Yes. Now, is there a reason that you are not
there?
Yeah.
Because I'm here. There is. I was in Toronto until, what day is it?
Today is Monday.
Monday.
April 11.
Till Saturday. Tape recording a television of, excuse me, Pygmalion. And
a good gift for you would be a lighter, if anybody is interested, I guess.
Oddly enough.
Oh, there you go. Eh? All right, now you were...
A simple sense of frugality.
Yeah.
Well, yes, tape recording, taping Pygmalion. And I came to New York to catch an airplane, which I will be catching in another hour and a quarter, to Ireland. And the reason I will not be at the awards, though it is no discourtesy to the Academy, far from it, is that I had a great blessing on March the 17th, on St. Patrick's Day. A son was born.
On St. Patrick's Day, that's very nice.
And his mother, very clever mother to have a baby on St. Patrick's Day, is from the United States, from a family from the East Coast has been here for years and years, so we have an Irish-American son.
Yes.
But I've only seen him for about 5 hours, and her, and I had to leave Ireland to go to Toronto to record the thing, and I'm on my way back to Ireland. That's why.
Well, I can respect that. Now,
priorities.
Let me ask you, if you win tonight, the Academy Award, have you already selected somebody to accept the award for you? You know how they always say, accepting for Mr. O'Toole? How does that work?
Well, I shan't win.
You don't think you win?
No.
So then I guess you didn't select somebody to pick it up for you.
No, I thought that would be unimportant, really, if I wasn't going to.
Now, well, this is interesting. Why don't you think you'll win?
The odds in Las Vegas are 9-1 against.
Oh.
And I'm a bookie's son.
Enough said on that. Now, we have to, Peter, we have to go away for station identification. But when we return, perhaps you can tell us, although this will be, when people see it, a week after the fact, what you feel, who you think the winner might be if you're taking yourself out of the race. Okay. All right. We'll be right back with Peter O'Toole. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Peter O'Toole is here tomorrow night. George Miller will be here, also the author of How Life Imitates the World Series, Tom Boswell, and Zippy the Chimp. Also later on tonight, Phoebe Snow will be here. Peter, again, I want to thank you for being here because
Phoebe Snow?
Phoebe Snow is here tonight.
She really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I think she's wonderful.
You enjoy her work?
Very much.
Oh, that's
and I enjoy that guitarist. You're brilliant.
Hiram Bullock. And I know you're on a tight travel arrangement, so I'm very grateful that you could spend some time here tonight. Now, about the Academy Awards, since you feel that 9 to 1 you don't really stand a good chance, who do you think will win the award for Best Actor tonight?
I hope that it will be Paul Newman.
Yeah. And you have been nominated for this award. This will be your 7th time?
It will.
And the fact that if you do not win, is this discouraging to be nominated 7 times?
Oh, no, it's very encouraging. I mean, it means, you know, somebody's thinking of me.
Yeah. Go right ahead. Now, you were in the film My Favorite Year. You played Alan Swan, obviously, a man, a hellraiser, a guy who drank and enjoyed a good time. Is there anything like that in your background that would help you execute that role?
Oh, I had a little rehearsal for a few years, yeah.
Any episode come to mind that you could share with us at this time?
If you've seen the film.
Yes, sir. I have seen it and enjoyed it.
Well, there's a scene of climbing a building.
Oh, yes, yes.
Well, many years ago, Richard Harris and myself, we were students together. And at about 3 in the morning, he thought it would be a very good idea to pay a visit to some ladies who lived on the top of a very high building. And the only way of getting up there was to climb. And it was huge. Huge. And we both had a drain pipe each. And up we got. And I did manage to get to this window, which happened to be open, and I walked in. There some very alarmed ladies for our little romantic encounter.
Now,
and I looked below, and Richard's drain pipe had broken. And he could neither go up nor down.
yeah.
So I suggested to the ladies that we should telephone the police and say there was an Irish hooligan trying to enter the building.
Yeah, have him arrested, sure, doing time. When you, now you're wearing green socks tonight, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah. Do you always wear green socks?
I do.
Why is that? They're dark green on this particular occasion, aren't they?
It was, probably still is, considered unlucky to wear green at a race meeting.
That's right.
And this was pointed out to me with considerable severity by my father. But I have a talent for disobedience, and I thought, how on earth can I wear green without that old bugger knowing? Socks.
Socks. And now you mentioned your father was a bookie, and you guys traveled around together, didn't you?
All over, yeah.
From what time? How old were you when you first started going out on trips with your dad?
5 weeks.
And he would visit the various race tracks or meets?
Tracks in Ireland and England and France.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so you were born in Ireland but ended up being raised in England?
I spent the war years in England, that was all.
Yeah. Tell me about I was reading an interesting article this afternoon about the first time you met Katharine Hepburn.
He's a bad man.
No, is that a true story, if it's the one we're thinking of?
It is.
All right, tell the folks that.
What is your name?
Dave. I'm Dave. I'm Dave.
Your surname?
Letterman. Dave Letterman.
Letterman.
Yes, sir.
It's not... It's not O. Letterman by any chance.
Oh, no. Although it could be if it would help, if it would...
Oh, dear. If Kate's watching this, I was in a play in London called The Long, the Short and the Tall, about young soldiers. And the dressing rooms, which is invariably the case, were pretty primitive, and they weren't supplied with bathrooms. And I was pissing in the sink.
Yeah. But I mean...
And a voice said, "Good evening, my name is Kate Hepburn." So I did a lot of pretending hand-washing acting. An attempt to replace...
there's no chance that the great lady was there for the same purpose, is there? That's awful notion. Peter, if you can hang around a moment longer, we have to go away for a commercial, but we'll be right back, sir. More with Peter O'Toole. Very much. Peter O'Toole is here on his way to Ireland, and you have 2 watches on, I believe, don't you? Is there any reason for that?
I was asked this earlier today, so I daren't tell you the reason.
Somebody else asked you this? Who asked you this?
Another journalist.
Oh, a journalist. Well, that was probably your first journalist of the day, then. Now, you can't tell us why?
It's the same answer.
That's all right.
I don't wish to waste time looking at the wrong wrist.
I know. That kind of delay can be costly sometimes. You just tell us about the movie that is now being re-released.
The Ruling Class?
Yes, sir.
What would you like to know?
Tell us, why is it being re-released? It was originally released in the 70s, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
Why? Embassy Films have decided to re-release it at the Lowe's Twin here in New York and in Los Angeles. I imagine the fundamental reason is to earn some money. But I think at the time, it's an extraordinarily funny film. And it was received a great deal of critical acclaim in Europe and was chosen as, it became very posh, if you follow me, and became the British entry for the Cannes jug, or whatever it is.
the Cannes jug, huh?
And it became over-bloated and overblown, and it was made by a bunch of friends who wanted to do this particular outrageous material, for we felt it was a kind of summation of the 60s. Yeah. It's a great whizzing fizz of words and images, and it gave me the chance to play Jesus Christ and Jack the Ripper. And also, it was said of it that it was ahead of its time. Maybe now is the time.
Okay. We have a couple of minutes from the film, Peter.
For the things that were considered to be outrageous in it, since God bless them, the Python boys and whatever, they've punched a hole into the accepted mores of the time. And this may just slide in nicely too.
Do you know what is on the film we're going to look at here?
Not the foggiest.
Okay, it's pretty much self-explanatory then, I understand. This is from The Ruling Class, the Peter O'Toole film, currently in re-release. That's great. Very interesting, very silly. Looks like a lot of fun. Again, I know things. Your schedule is very difficult, and I appreciate you taking the time to come over. It was a thrill to meet you, and I've certainly enjoyed your work for a long time. And thanks again. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with before we whisk you to the airport?
It is so long ago. It's what, 12 years? That group of people were a real hunt. And we turned up merely and didn't tell them what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. There were 2 or 3 actors dotted around. And I began that speech. And people were saying, "Hear, hear." Hear, hear. Bring back the rack. And before we did the scene when we all come tossing out of the pub, in came this lady with a huge amount of documents, which was a petition to bring back capital punishment.
There you go, yeah.
And she'd taken it to think, and would I sign it? I said, certainly. I signed it. Mycroft Holmes, which is Sherlock Holmes' brother. That's all.
Have a nice trip. Nice meeting you, sir. Peter O'Toole, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with Phoebe Snow.
Thank you very much. Welcome back to the program. I think tonight's show ought to be a pretty good show, don't you, Paul?
Yes. Yes.
We have, what more do you want? We have a gentleman from the area of literature and sports. We have a fine, young, very talented comedian. And, of course, we have legendary film star Peter O'Toole. Is he here? No, of course he's here, and let's bring him out right now. Our first guest tonight is one of the, certainly one of the great actors of our time. This man has been nominated for 7 Academy Awards for films including Lawrence of Arabia, Beckett, and The Lion in Winter. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Peter O'Toole. Hi, Peter. Nice to see you. Good, how are you? Thank you very much. Now, please do. How you doing? You look great. What'd you do? You've lost a button there?
I've lost a button.
Would you like us to repair that for you?
Yes, please.
All right, we can have that. You want to have it taken care of now, or do you want to wait till after the show?
No.
You want to have it done now? All right, can we get somebody out here to sew the man's button on, please?
Give me a needle and thread. I'll do it myself.
A needle and thread, you'll do it yourself? All right, whatever. You look terrific. Now, I remember the last time you were here, gee, it's been, what, 3 years ago? About 3 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah. And, and at the time, I think you had just gotten off one plane and were getting onto another plane, and you seemed a little harried. But you look great now. You remember being here, don't you?
We had a very interesting discussion about time.
Uh-huh.
Then and when and who and where. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember that. Now, you're in New York City? You're living in New York City? Do you...
Well, I'm playing in
Yeah.
No, I nearly spoke then. I'm playing in a play in New York and in consequence living here.
Yeah. Now, do you have an apartment in Manhattan? Mm-hmm. Do you like being in the middle of the city?
Very much.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself living here for an extended period of time? Would you ever move here?
No, I'm very, very firmly a European.
Yeah, yeah. You make your permanent home where?
In England and in Ireland.
Yeah. What about sports? Do you like American sports?
I do. I like baseball.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to a game?
I have, and I'm going to a game on Monday.
Well, who are you going to go see? Probably
the Chicago White Sox and the
Yankees.
And
Sure.
the Yankees.
Yeah. Do you follow cricket?
I play cricket.
You play cricket, and I suppose there's no concise way to describe the difference and similarities of the sport to baseball, is there?
I've been told that one of the most fruitless tasks on earth is to try and explain a game of cricket to a non-cricket player.
Yeah.
So I won't even try. But if you realize that a game of cricket played at its highest level lasts for 5 days,
Yeah.
begins at 11 in the morning, ends at 6:30 at night, and continues for 5 days, might give you a hint of the plot.
Yeah. Is it a... now, I've actually seen one game played. I've seen one when I was in Bermuda. They were playing a game.
That's right.
Can you break a sweat playing that game?
The captain of the English side, which played in the West Indies last year, not only broke into a sweat, but he left his nose on a field.
Wow. So what you're saying that
He
the game...
forgot to duck
Oh my gosh! So you was hit with the ball or the bat?
the ball.
Yeah. And how is it different from rounders? What the heck was rounders?
Rounders is an earlier form of baseball.
Yeah. So baseball is more derivative of rounders than cricket. I see. Okay. Well, we settled that okay, didn't we? Tell me about your early experiences in theater. Do you recall working in places where the audiences were less than receptive? Because now I'm guessing here in New York City they jump to your feet the minute you take the stage.
Well, if I might just say that for all of us in the cast, the response from the audiences to a Bernard Shaw play is astounding. For we've never come across anything so swift and so attentive and so quick to the humor. So, having said that, which I really want to say.
Yeah, but I'm guessing it would be different if it were
But
people...
early days, were known, or some of us are known as classical actors. Our definition of a classical actor is a person who appears in a play, the author of which is dead, and there are more people on stage than there are in the audience.
That's happened here on a few nights where there's... and were you ever in a, I don't even know that this exists, a traveling group of players that would work in small town and small town and small town?
I once toured lunatic asylums.
Wow. Do you remember what the production was?
Yes, it was a play called The Young Elizabeth. It was a chronological, episodic play about Elizabeth I. Can you imagine? Pyromaniacs wandering towards the stage with lighted matches.
Ooh.
It was amusing.
Was that a disturbing experience for an actor?
No, it was quite... initially, it was a bit odd. Then it became rather charming and quaint.
Quaint in what respect, exactly?
But if you're playing to lunatics...
Well... but
quite.
Yeah. Now, what about the differences?
Well, I have... your friend sort of tipped me off about things you may or may not ask me.
I have no friends on this staff, Peter.
I had the great good fortune of working with an actor called Robert Atkins, whom you may or may not have heard of. He was the man who founded the Old Vic Company in 1920 and gave employment first to people like Sir John Gielgud and Ralph Richardson and all the many, Larry Olivier.
Right.
And he was a noted eccentric. And we were doing a production of Othello in which I played a small role of Lodovico. And Robert said to me, "What are you playing?" I said, "Lodovico." He said, "Oh." And I can't say this word, alas, the X who forgets the letter. So I thought, what does he mean, the X who forgets the letter? reading the play, Shakespeare was not only a fine writer, but also a very good stage manager. Now, he arranges for Lodovico, who, 2 or 3 words, to pop on precisely before Desdemona is struck by Othello. And he gives Othello a letter. Now, the letter can be a piece of silk, and he can therefore hit Desdemona without ruining the poor girl's jaw or whatever. The stage designer had also asked me if I'd be kind enough to duck as I went on, because he'd done a perspective of a set at Cyprus. So it meant ducking to a 5-foot. I said, certainly, no problem. Came the first night, and I went zooming on into the Cyprus scene. What I hadn't budgeted for was my cloak, which spread out, and as I ducked, the momentum of the duck and the big entrance I was making in my enormous caught hold of the arch of the set and pulled the entire set down.
Yeah.
You could see no smoking.
You know, Shakespeare was a firm believer in that, because he...
And the poor soul playing Othello, all the black makeup had run in his eyes, and he was in great misery, and he was pounding at me, and of course I had forgotten the letter. So he was thumping away, and I was holding my cloak out, and there was no, and poor Desdemona had no entrance to go on.
Because you had ruined it.
She came running on in tears to an enraged Othello who turned around and gave her a great belt in the head and took 2 of her teeth out.
Right. Now, what does the audience do? Do they laugh? Are they worried? Or what happened?
I think they were seriously distressed. What is certain is that I was sacked.
You were done. That was it. Yeah. Well, you must have just been mortified with embarrassment, eh? Do you have the needle and thread? I do. All right, here, get this stitched up. Here you go.
This could be a love.
All right. While Peter is sewing on his buttons, we'll do a commercial, and then we'll be right back. Back here with Peter O'Toole. All right, let's visit here a second about people you've worked with. It's always a good area. You've worked with the best, the greatest. And you and Richard Burton were friends, weren't you?
We were.
Yeah. What was the nature of the friendship? How did you meet?
He came down to a repertory company I was in. He was thinking of doing Jean-Paul Sartre's Keane. And I was playing in a production of Lear. And we met and we had a few drinks together and we played pool. I just remembered, yes, he was a very good pool player.
How old were the two of you when you got together the first time?
Richard would be a little older than I, about mid-20s to 30.
So you guys were probably generally up to no good in those days, right?
I believe that was our creed.
And was it madness? Were you loaded all the time? Were there fights and going into pubs and knocking each other around and that kind of thing?
Of course.
Did you play tricks on one another? Did you?
We used to appear in each other's films.
Unannounced? And how does a thing like that work?
He popped into a film I was doing called What's New, Pussycat.
Just showed up on this?
Absolutely, just turned up. I was supposed to turn around and find Woody Allen, and I turned around and found Richard Burton.
And then everybody goes crazy, and
I turned up on a film of his called Sandpiper. Yes, we played japes.
Yeah. Was it? And then did you remain close through the rest of his life?
We weren't very close latterly, but then nobody was. He was removed towards the end.
Yeah. What reason?
I don't know.
Just one of those things that happened.
Yeah.
What about your relationship with John Huston?
Oh, well, he's been the most magnanimous.
An old friend?
Very good friend.
Where did you first meet?
John, I went to see a film he'd made called The Battle of San Pietro, a documentary he made for the American broadcasting services during the war, with his former cameraman. John, my daughter worked with him recently.
Is that right?
Yeah.
On a which production?
A film of James Joyce's The Dead.
And were you guys also hard to handle when you got together?
John?
Yeah.
Oh, stop. One morning, I remember waking up in his house in Ireland. And that was John. He won't mind me telling this, I'm sure. And he was wearing a long green kimono. And he said, "Day for getting drunk, kid." And I just woken up. And he gave me a glass of Irish whiskey. I can remember that in the afternoon, he still in the kimono and I in pajamas, on horseback. With 303 rifles, hunting hare. Well, not too successfully.
Yeah, but I mean, he just announced that today was a day for getting drunk, and there you go. You leave your pajamas on and you go out shooting rabbits. But those are the old days. That kind of stuff is long gone, right?
It has.
Yeah. You enjoying yourself here in town in this
Very
production?
much.
How much longer are you going to be in Pygmalion?
Till the end of July.
Great. Well,
hope.
I hope you enjoy your stay here in New York City.
Thank you.
And if you ever want to drop by again, have, you know, maybe darn your socks next time. We'll do anything for you. Peter, nice to see you again.
Thank you,
sir. We'll pause for station identification.
If you like to drive, really like to drive, this is what your next car should be. This is the all-new Pontiac Grand Prix.
Our next guest is a talented veteran actor whose films include The Sporting Life, Mutiny on the Bounty, and Camelot. He is now starring in the film The Field. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Richard Harris. Richard. Thank you for being here. You and I met years and years and years ago, I think, didn't we, somewhere? I get the sense that we did.
Well, years and years and years ago, I was very drunk. I remember somebody asked me recently, would I write my autobiography? And I said, I can't remember. You know, I remember, and I actually said on a television show, if anybody can remember having any kind of association with me, please write to this address. Well, you piles of mail?
Yeah.
God, you've no idea.
Good stories or bad stories that you hear when you get these letters?
I'm surprised I'm alive.
Yeah. You drank, but there's a difference between drinking and punishing yourself with booze.
Oh, no, I drank because I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I really confused therapists who used to say to me, you know, people drink because they're in trouble. I said, no. No, I drank because I loved it. I was running away from nothing. I was hiding from nothing. I drank because I love the hangovers.
Oh, really?
I did. And I just love to wake up the next morning and say, what did I do? Yeah. I normally read it in the newspapers the next day, I was.
Could you now, and I don't mean this to be cute or coy about this, but could you, like, run us through a 24-hour period in your life at the height of your drinking activities? You would get up at, like, what time?
Well, I usually sort of slept most of the day, I think, if I got to bed. But normally I woke up and had to introduce myself to the person beside me in bed. or say, who are you? I mean,
yeah.
Am I engaged? Are we married? You know, I didn't quite know.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was the drink of preference in those days?
Vodka.
Vodka.
Yeah, neat vodka.
Oh,
don't do that.
People applaud. And what quantity did you consume? When
Well,
you were...
I tell you something. There was once an interviewer, and he said, what did you drink? I said, my usual drink was, I go to a bar and I order 6 double vodkas, straight away. Okay? He said, I don't believe it.
Double vodkas.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't believe that, he said. I said, it's true. So he didn't believe me, so I said, okay, let's go to P.J. Clark's. Now, I hadn't had a drink for years now. I went to P.J. Clark's, and I walked in the door, and I said, Vinny, my usual. And he put 6 double vodkas on.
Oh, man.
And I killed the first 3 like this, and then I kind of sauntered through the other 3.
Yeah.
In about 20 minutes.
Yeah, because you may want to go to a show later.
I mean, I may have to do a show later.
It's, you know, it is amazing that you're alive, and once again, it proves the resiliency of the human body and the human spirit. I mean, don't you think? I mean,
Well, I stopped drinking. I stopped at 20 past 11, August the 2nd, 1982. I stopped totally.
Just all by yourself? Do you see a time in your life when you think, maybe I'll give it another try, or are you done?
Well, I tell you what I did. I remember reading the sort of excerpts from Greta Garbo's life, and I thought she was 80-something, and she smoked 2 or 3 packs of Marlboros a day, and she drank a couple of bottles of whiskey and a couple of bottles of vodka a week. So I thought, okay, if I can stay off the drink, which I will, till I'm 84, and when I can't work anymore and no one will hire me, maybe I'll have a drink then. Maybe I'll go out that way.
Yeah, sure. You know what else Garbo loved was that mechanical bull down at Gillies. Couldn't get her off that. Let's talk about the field a little bit. Now, I was surprised. This is your first major motion picture in 8 years?
Yeah.
Now, why is that?
Well, you know, I stopped making movies because the quality of the pictures I was making was very bad.
Now, why did that happen? Was that something you could control or you couldn't control?
No, not really. I suppose in a strange way I was to blame because I sort of didn't bother in the mid-70s anymore. And I used to kind of, between drunken bouts, I said to my secretary, read a script, we're short of money, and see what I'm going to do next. And she'd pick something and I'd do it. It was a disaster.
So you really weren't focused on your career?
Not really, no. Okay. Not really. And then, of course, I did Camelot from 1982 to 1986. And then I'd been away there for 4 years. And when one tries to get back, they've forgotten you. Or indeed, your movies prior to that were lousy. Yeah. So nobody sort of rang. The phone wasn't ringing. Nobody offered me anything. So I was out of work for 3 years.
So you're back, and do you feel like you're back up to speed? Are you in the thick of it again? Are people asking you to be in?
Well, I think I got a Golden Globe nomination for the best performance in the field. Yeah. And I'm hopeful an Academy Award nomination, hopefully. Yeah. And so I think it's going well now.
Good. Yeah. I mean, you must be terribly happy that you're back and you can do this some more.
Well, kind of. Yeah, I am. Kind of, yeah.
All right, we'll go over to P.J. Clark's. Let me do a commercial, and then we'll be right back here. Yeah.
Good, huh?
Yeah. Will you come back? You can come back, will you? We'll talk some more. It was good to see you again. I'm glad things are great for you once more in your life. Pardon me. Clams. My thanks to everybody who was here. Jack Hanna and, of course, Otis Anderson. We'll see you tomorrow night. God bless us all, everybody. Bye-bye. Our first guest is truly a star of stage and truly the screen. His classic motion pictures include Lawrence of Arabia and Beckett and The Lion in Winter. He has now written this autobiography entitled Loitering with Intent. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Peter O'Toole. Good to have you with us on the program again.
Now, David, I know that you work to certain patterns in your head, but there's something I must do. A terrible thing has been done in New York today, in Central Park, this morning. A man dressed in white, holding a bat, impersonating a cricketer. On television, I have an eyewitness, and claiming he was demonstrating how to play the game. And he said, no. It won't take a moment. No. He said, what you do is you defend your stumps against the ball, and you can stay there for 5 days. It's not so, and I must. This is to delude. This is to delude the American public. It's wrong. The first thing a cricketer wants to do is to knock the ball out of the park, while at the same time not being out in one of the 9 ways in which, at cricket, you can be out. Now, I didn't drop a participle.
All right, now you brought this up. Now, I know just enough about cricket to not know anything at all about it. I've seen it played, and it's fascinating, and it's obviously connected somehow in the distant past to American baseball. What are the differences? What are the 9 ways a batsman can be put out?
Oh, no, it's too long and far too complicated. But I'm
thanks.
very pleased.
Thanks a lot.
I'm pleased. I'm pleased that the Mets won 3-0.
All right.
And Godber is a beautiful pitcher.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Godber,
Godber.
the pitcher. Beautiful. And the Yankees won 9.
Yankees won yesterday, 9-1 as well.
9.
All right.
Well done.
You coach a cricket team?
I do.
Yeah. What age group of folks?
Under 12.
Oh, wow. That must be very exciting for you.
I love it.
What kind of a schedule is that for 12-year-olds?
They come and they learn how to hold a bat, how to throw the ball. But I will not go into cricket. It's very, very boring. Go on.
Well, I'm sorry I brought it up then. Let's talk about the book. Was this, the book is 3 parts. It's your life story in 3 parts. What was the best part about writing this book for you? Was it being able to actually go back physically and relive parts of your early life? Was that,
Yes,
that must
it
have
was
been
lovely. At one point, I was taken by a documentary firm to a race course where my father was a bookie. And we went to a track which I knew when I was a child. And as we got into the track, we parked the car in the car park. I thought, this is wrong. This is terribly wrong. We should have parked 100 yards away outside the track in case we had to make an early departure.
That's the way it had been with you and your dad.
That's right.
And why the need for an early departure?
We might have owed someone money.
I see.
Which we didn't have.
Did you, now are there still people at this track who remember you in those days, from those days, remember your father?
I walked onto the track thinking, and a man said, your father gave me my first job at a point-to-point meeting in 1938. And for a whole day, I was not Peter O'Toole, I was Pat's son. It was enchanting.
Yeah. And they were nice to you, obviously forgetting about the old debts, perhaps?
No, I think they would have demanded them had they wanted them.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your relationship with Richard Burton.
We were doing a film called Beckett. Richard and I were very friendly. He was friendly to me since I was a young man. And we eventually got together, and we were doing a film called Beckett, which was with lots of heroes of ours, John Gielgud, Donald Wolfett, many other people. And we said to each other, we swore that throughout the picture we'd be on our best behavior. We wouldn't take any alcohol at all.
How old were the two of you then? What was your age?
Me, 29, 30, Richard about 35.
Kids, indestructible.
Indestructible.
Right.
And this we did. We were virtuous, pure. You know the feeling.
Well, now, come on.
We were. And we'd finished a long scene in a cathedral, and we said good night, and it was a Friday. And we'd done this enormous long scene, and we'd been working for about 8 weeks. And I thought, well, might as well, it's all over, have a little drop.
Sure.
And I went one way, and Richard went another. Well, they found that a scene which involved me putting on a ring on Richard's hand and making him an archbishop or something was ruined in the lab. And they wanted us back on Saturday morning. I was found under a piano in a club at about 3-ish, and my driver wisely took me to the studio where I had a little snore in the car park. Richard was found under a table in a place called the Pair of Shoes, and his driver didn't have the wisdom to take him to the studio. He took him to the hotel where he had a snore. I was nearly sober by the time he arrived. When I drank, I used to get longer and thinner. Richard got amazingly more squat.
Yeah.
And he couldn't turn his head like that. He'd have to turn his entire body. So I was sitting thinking, well, this isn't too bad. I can nearly see, and having a cup of coffee. And I looked down the corridor, and coming down the corridor was the oldest Welshman I'd ever seen in my life. It was Richard.
Yeah.
His huge face. And they put lots of makeup on. By about half an hour of solid makeup, he looked about 70, and I looked about 60. And then we decided we'd try and do the scene.
Yeah.
Well, he held his finger up, and it was waving around like a bee's wing. And I had the ring, and if you put
Very, very difficult thing.
you shake,
Yeah.
and I we just we couldn't make it.
Is it noticeable in the film if you go to see the film? Can you detect that, or is it imperceptible?
We decided the best thing to do was for me to hold the ring like that, and he would make a charm. It's perceptible.
Oh, man. Let's see. We need to do a commercial, Peter. Hang around if you can, and we'll continue chatting with Mr. O'Toole right after that. Here. Rich Hall will be out later. And speaking of sports, as we were, a guy named Sparky Mortimer. Hang around for that. It's fascinating. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
The magic sponge.
Yeah, that's right. The magnetic sponge. Exactly. Let's talk about other people that you've worked with. Richard Harris, of course. Richard Burton, Richard Harris. Two actors, two fellow countrymen, more or less, who also drink. Drank. Yeah.
When we had drunk, Richard and I, with Harris, we were young, 54.
No. Was it really? 54?
In 1954, yeah.
Oh, 1954. Oh.
1954, very young and poor and drunk. And Richard said, let's get a woman.
I'm sorry, let's get a...
Woman.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You've heard of this?
Let's try that now.
So I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. Where? He said, I know where there's a rack of them.
Oh, God.
So he took me to a place in Earl's Court in London, which has high buildings, 5 stories high. And they lived on the top floor. He said, we'll be in. Rang the bell, of course, no answer. Very sensible girls. He said, gee. He was furious. So I said, well, don't be dismayed, sweetheart. It's easy. We'll just pop up the drain pipe.
Climb up the outside of the building.
Climb up the drain pipe. Up the down pipe.
Yeah.
So I went up, 5 stories, it's a long way up, and tapped on the window. A little girl's face popped round. She said, come in.
Oh, very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So in I went. He'd never climbed a drain pipe in his life. So he began to climb. And he got... he was furious. that I was up there, and he hadn't quite got the knack. There's a knack to it, like cricket or baseball. There's a knack to it. And he, just between the 4th floor and the 5th floor, and the pipe broke. Which left him standing on one bit of the pipe and hanging on with his fingernails to the window ledge of the 5th floor. And he could neither go up nor down. So we telephoned for the fire brigade. And with the fire brigade came the police.
Right.
And I shouted down, "This is an Irish hooligan who's trying to break into our home." And he was arrested.
Trying to break into our home. Man, that's great. You can't have fun like that anymore, can you? or can you? Maybe you're still having fun like that.
Have you seen Richard recently?
He was here, but not recently. I guess at least a year, a couple of years.
He's wilder now that he's sober.
Yeah. Lucky to be alive, though, I would think. Now, this is the first of 3.
Yes.
The 3 parts of your life, Loitering with Intent, by Peter O'Toole. Peter, it's always great fun to have you with us. Good luck with the book, and good luck with anything else that is going on in your life.
And good luck with you, Mr. Letterman.
Thank you, sir. Peter O'Toole. Peter O'Toole. We'll be right back. Our first guest tonight is an Academy Award nominee who is best known for his stage and screen work in Camelot. His current film, Wrestling Ernest Hemingway, opens across the country on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, big-time movie star, legendary Richard Harris. Richard. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, you look great. I think I saw you like 5 or 6 years ago at the other show. You look better now than you did 5 or 6 years ago. How is that possible? What are you doing? What's going on?
I feel good.
Well, there you go.
I'm working good.
You feel good, you look good.
Yeah. Do I look good?
Yeah, you look great. What did I say? I said you look good.
Thank you very much. Would you say it again?
Yeah, you look great. You're in this country for several different things, not just to be here on the show. What else brings you to the United States?
Well, actually I'm here because of your show.
Right, thank you.
Now, this minute.
Sure.
Concorded in.
Oh, how is it fun?
Great. Yeah, it's great.
Scary though, isn't it? A little scary.
Well, 3 hours 20 minutes, or 3 hours 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And then I'm going to do the Golden Globes Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm presenting an award.
What award are you presenting?
Well, I'm presenting an award that I should have got. I thought that Robert Duvall and I should have split the award between us for Wrestling with Ernest Hemingway, but we didn't get nominated, so I'll be giving our award to somebody else. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Yeah. You have some experience with that event, I would guess. You've probably been nominated yourself many times, been a
I think
presenter
I've won
several
2.
times. You've won 2?
I've won 2, and I presented. Can I tell you a funny story?
No, please don't. Save that for the cab ride home.
Well, I haven't been asked back. It's the first time I've been asked back in the Golden Globe to present, like for, I think, over 10 years. I was asked to present 10 years ago the Best Actress award.
Very prestigious.
Very prestigious.
Yeah.
And I'm in the Beverly Hills Hotel, drunk as I was in those days, very drunk. And not, thank you. You don't know what I'm missing. I haven't had a drink for 10 years, and I'm dying.
But no.
Nothing to be proud of.
No, you feel better, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You feel much better.
I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But I had to present this award, and I'm in the bar, and John Cassavetes is there. And he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm presenting this award." He said, Gina Rowlands. He was married to Gina. He said, Gina is up for that award. God, he said, "I hope she wins it. I love her. She's a great actress." I said, "You want her to win it?" And He said, yeah. I said, she's won it. What do you mean? I said, I'll just take out the envelope and I'll open it up and say Gina Davis, Gina Rowlands, and put it in my pocket, and that's the end of it. She'd come up. He said, wait a minute. I said, do you want me to do it? He said, he was drunk too. So he said, yeah.
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
It sounded okay to you
yeah.
guys.
He said, yeah, do it. So I went to bed, barely, and he went to bed, barely, and the next morning we woke up, and suddenly I met him, and he said, wait a minute, what did we say last night? I said, Gina's going to win the award. He said, no, wait a minute. No, look, he said, don't do it. I said, don't worry about it. She's going to win the award. He said, you fuss. Well, they won't know till it's over. Yeah. The next day, it'll be exposed that I made a mistake, or couldn't read, or I'm dyslexic, or something. I read the wrong name. Don't worry. I said, don't worry about it. Now it comes, and he's sitting at the front table with her. And I come out, my name, I take out the envelope, and I said, and the winner is, and I'm looking at him, and he's sitting there going, look. No. And I said, and the winner is Gina Rowlands. She wouldn't move. She didn't know whether to get up or not, and he wouldn't get up either. And I said, come on. So they get up, and she doesn't know whether to accept the speech. Her acceptance speech has been ruined. Everything has been ruined. And I put it in my pocket. I said, well done. And so now we're walking off afterwards, and he said, who won it? I said, Faye Dunaway won it. And he said, Faye Dunaway? Oh, yeah. I said, Faye Dunaway won it for network, but don't worry about it. He said, oh, my God. How am I going to tell Gene? I said, don't worry about it. Well, anyway, I know he was so upset that night I got this huge, big thing of flowers and champagne, and I took the card that the winner's name was on the envelope, and I put it inside, and I sent it up to his room about 4 in the morning, and he opened it, and of course was Gina Rowlands.
That's a great story.
I mean, she actually won it.
You should. You should do something wacky like that this time. Goof around with it this time. You know, Richard, I'm looking at you in the monitor. What do you got going here? What is this? What exactly are we? You know, it's like you got a kind of a I don't know,
a rugby shirt,
a T-shirt and a tie.
It's a rugby shirt and a tie. Well, I tell you what. When I'm in London, I live in the Savoy Hotel, and they're very snobby. And I wear rugby shirts and old clothes and this and that. But you can't come into the Savoy Hotel without a tie. Oh. Right? So I just stick a tie over my rugby shirt. Yeah. And I get in. It's very funny. You know what they say?
You know, whether you're drinking or not, you're still trouble. Doesn't make any difference. It just has nothing to do with the booze. We're gonna do a commercial. We'll come back here with Richard Harris. Welcome back here. Richard Harris is with us. Taj Mahal, Etta James, and David Spade from Saturday Night Live. I saw the Unforgiven about a year ago, half a year ago, I forget when it was. And you were great. You play the character, is it English Bob?
English Bob, yeah.
Man, that was a great...
I like that.
It was a great movie. Every little scene was like a chapter in a book. It had so many different colorations and interesting things in it. It was just great fun to watch.
It was a great movie.
And then at the end, after you're waiting for it, you know Clint is going to go nuts. And man, when he goes nuts...
No one goes nuts better.
Exactly.
And more controlled.
Yeah,
than him.
That's right.
Yeah.
What else can we talk about your life? You don't drive?
Yeah,
Is it possible that a man of your age and your position in life does not drive his own car?
Well, I got my license suspended for life when I was 19.
For life?
Yeah. I knocked over a double-decker bus in Dublin when I was 19. They said it was impossible to do, but it did. It fell, it fell against a lamppost like this. And the judge said to me, I'm taking away your license for life. He said, when you come to Dublin in future, he said, take a helicopter and come, he said, and come over so you can fly over red lights, buses, and pedestrians. And he took my license away. But I tell you, I've driven a car. I was in Dublin once. You know, the wonderful phrases, the Irish are very... I talk about Irish playwrights and so forth, the wonderful... his sense of language. I was driving a car in Dublin. I shouldn't have been driving it. I borrowed it. It was an old wreck. And I was drunk.
Borrowed?
An old wreck. And I shouldn't have been driving
Borrowed it or stole it?
Well, okay. You got it right. So I'm driving it, and we come to a traffic lights. And the traffic lights was red, which meant I shouldn't go forward.
That's right. Very good.
Is that
very good, yes.
Got that. So the engine cut out of the car, and then it went orange, which means I should get ready to go. And then it went to green, and as it went to green, I tried to get it going, and the car stopped again. So then, when I got the engine going, it turned to red, means to stop. Yeah. Then it stalled again. Yeah. Then it went to orange, and so forth for 15 minutes. I couldn't make it move. And there was a huge, big Guinness truck behind me. And this driver got out of the Guinness truck, and he knocked at my window. And I turned the window down. And he said, "Is there any particular shade of bloody green you're waiting for?" True story.
Oh, God. And then you got out and you knocked his truck over. Now, I know I have a lot of admiration for you because you've given up drinking. And we don't mean to make light of people who drink to excess because it's not a good thing. And you're to be applauded for overcoming that. But I didn't mean literally applauded. But when you were drinking, I'm guessing you drank with great abandon and gusto.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what was your drink of preference?
Well, I used to drink, I'm told, 2 bottles of vodka a day.
You're told.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah.
And your day would begin with eggs, toast, and a bottle of vodka. Is that?
The day would begin with a Bloody Mary with a double vodka around 8 o'clock.
And then just non-stop?
And just non-stop, yeah. I loved it. It was great. I loved it.
And
I miss it. I miss it. I miss it. I loved it.
And your buddies, did you ever work? Could you work while you were drunk? Could you ever perform?
Badly.
Yeah.
I worked with O'Toole, and he was the same.
Yeah.
I worked with O'Toole down in Bristol once, and we were doing a play in Bristol. And we had 15 minutes when we weren't on stage, and somebody else was doing the acting. And O'Toole and I knew a little pub just opposite the stage door.
15 minutes? You don't want to waste that valuable drinking time.
No.
15 minutes? Are you kidding?
Let's go, Peter. Boom, out the door. And we were throwing back, and now we're drinking pints of Guinness that time. Drinking back pints of Guinness. And suddenly the stage manager came rushing and he says, "For Jesus' sake, you're off. You're off." "What? You mean you're off? They're waiting for you to come on. There's silence on stage. The other actors can't improvise. Get on." So we dash across the stage, and we dash across, and we duck, sidestep cars, and we dash up into the stage, and I make an entrance per script about seconds before O'Toole. Yeah. So I'm just getting on, and I hit the stage, and I tripped over a large wire, and I fell on the floor on the stage, and I slid right down the stage, and my head hung over the footlights onto the lap of an old 60 or 70-year-old Bristolian woman who looks at me, and she said out loud in the silence of the theater, "Good God, Harris is drunk." And I said, "Madam, if you think I'm drunk, wait till O'Toole makes his entrance."
Yeah. Yeah. You're nuts. You're like a kid. It's great to see.
You had Duval on here, didn't you?
Robert Duval was out here. Robert Duval was in the wings giving me the finger.
He's nuts too.
Giving me the finger. Yeah.
He's the best, isn't he?
The movie is Wrestling Ernest Hemingway and opens on Friday in this
21st.
country. Yeah.
Isn't he great?
He's terrific.
Because he asked you, I'm not going to tell you, because on the show he said when Harris comes on, ask him about the little black bag. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you about it because you haven't asked me yet.
No.
Obviously you're not going to work.
No, I was
Dead right.
Would you tell me about the little black bag?
Well, the next time that he comes on your show, ask him about the 5'11" inflated rubber woman, your doll, that I put into his bed.
All right. All right.
I threw it.
Okay. Well, okay. Ask you about the bag, ask him about the doll. All right. You know, you guys could save me a lot of trouble exchanging letters
Can you imagine
every
him and I on the
now and
one
then.
movie? What'd you say?
I say you could save me a lot of trouble if you would pick up the phone and talk about this stuff with him. It's good to see you. Have fun out there in California with the Golden Globes, and good luck with the movie. And do me a favor, anytime on your way back home or whatever, come back and see us again. You're terrific as always.
Thank you.
Richard Harris, ladies and gentlemen, right here. We'll be right back. Stay right there. Yeah. Well, we're always happy to have our first guest with us on the program. A delightful man, a fine actor, always tells wonderful stories. He has been in such wonderful motion pictures, of course, Camelot, This Sporting Life, and Unforgiven. Did you see him in the Unforgiven?
No, I did.
Oh, that was cool. That was a great movie.
Great. Get him out here. I'm sorry. I don't see many movies.
I know you don't see many movies, but yeah, all right. I will, Paul. I'll get him out here. On April 3rd and 4th, his miniseries entitled Abraham debuts on TNT. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the big show, Richard Harris. Richard! Oh, sing a little. Come on, sing a little. Come on.
I take my mind back.
Yeah. Do a little later, will you?
Another time.
Oh, okay. Hey, how you doing?
Great.
Look, again, you have a real, you look like a guy who tried to squeegee my windshield this morning. What do you have on here? What is this?
The last time I was on the show, you asked me the same thing about my clothes.
Yeah.
You said you're dressed dreadfully, but what can I tell you?
But this garment here, this is a very sort of...
Oh, this is legendary garment.
Uh-huh.
There's a history, shall I tell you?
Well, please do.
There's a history to this garment, okay? Making Camelot in 1966, I was in California, and there was a girl, a young actress, whose first picture just came out then. I won't tell you her name.
What was the name of the picture?
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Come on.
So,
What was the name of the picture?
No. Wait to hear the story first. You may not want to know.
But we want to guess. We want to guess the girl.
No, afterwards you guess.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, they made a flower, a hybrid flower in San Francisco called sterling silver roses. I saw them flown into San Francisco, sent to her every week. This went on year after year. She would not see me.
You were smitten by her,
Smitten
obviously.
by her. And
Sure.
she kept saying, no. And anyway, no. Oh, God. She should have been president. And anyway, years later, I kept saying the flowers, and her agent was the same, was my agent. I kept tracing where she was, and finally she came to London, and I found out where she was staying. She was doing a movie in London. I knew the apartment where she was staying. It was up high, and I said, I'm definitely going to break in. After all these years, she refused to see me. I'm going to see her. So I climbed up the drain pipe, and I knocked at her window, and she saw me and said, good God. She said, I said, no. I said, can I come in, please? So I got in. This is true. I get in, and I kind of saying, I've been following you for years. Good heavens. And after long conversations, I finally got her to the bedroom.
Oh.
And we didn't have time to pull back the sheets and all that. And I got her down on top of the bed, and we made love. And then I was so delighted. I thought, well, make love to me. I thought you were going to be with me forever. But then she said, no. She said, it's a one-off. I'll never see you again. I said, never see me again? Why not? I knew from her eyes she was telling me the truth. So I went over. I swear to this. This is true. I went over. I got the bedspread, and I pulled the bedspread. I put it around myself like that, and I said, well, I guess it's goodbye. I walked out the door, went straight to a tailor, and had an overcoat made of it. And that's it. That's the bedspread it all happened on.
Wow.
And I never have it washed. I never have it pressed. I never have it laundered. And every time I put it on, I think of her.
It's a very romantic, if not peculiar, thing to have done. But and who is? You can't tell us who the woman is.
Of course not.
Is she still working today? She's married
working.
now?
Yeah, she's working.
Works in films. Works in television.
Television, very famous.
American television.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you, David.
Is it network television? Cable?
I was told you were going to do this.
Is she in comedy, like drama? Is it Angela Lansbury?
No.
Show business.
Is it?
No, it was not.
Roseanne Arnold.
No. She wasn't born in 1966.
Estelle Getty. You seem like you have. How many times have you been married?
Twice.
Twice. Oh, see, I thought you'd been married much more than
No,
twice.
twice, yes.
And what kind of a husband did you make?
I made 2 women very unhappy.
Oh, really? What is the combined length of both your marriages?
God, I don't know. Jeez. I would say 8 and 7, 14 years.
Oh, well, that's
Not bad.
I want to find out. I want to find out a little more about what kind of a husband you were. All right? Yeah, it's delightful to have you back. We're going to do a commercial. We'll continue visiting here with Richard Harris. Come on back. All right, Richard, let's talk a little bit about your married life. Pick either one. Now, I guess you were drinking probably when you were married.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing like the way drinking
Absolutely.
does it gets in the way of everything.
Absolutely.
It can be a real problem.
It can be a problem.
Yeah.
It was a problem.
Did you have trouble with your wife over drinking? Either one of them, both of them?
Both wives. Yeah. Well, it was kind of difficult, I suppose. Yeah, it was. Yeah, like for instance, I remember once going out, and I was married to Elizabeth, and I said, look, I'm just going out to buy a newspaper. And I went out and I bought the paper, and I opened the paper, and I saw there was a rugby, and I was in England at the time, London. I saw there was a rugby match on in Dublin. I want to see that. I said, Ireland were playing New Zealand. So I got on a plane and flew. I forgot to tell her. And so I went to Dublin and saw the rugby match, and then, when you go to Ireland, you don't go for a weekend, you stay for a generation, a decade. And so after about 5 weeks, and forgetting to call Elizabeth, right? I got a phone call from my brother saying, she's going to divorce you. I said, nah, she loves me. She never divorced me. Oh, she's divorcing you. And he mentioned the law. I said, really? I said, good God. So I flew back quick. The plane arrived by 11 o'clock, and I dashed up to the house, and all the lights were out in the house. And I said, what am I going to say? I'm 5 weeks away. What can I say? What excuse can I give? And then I pressed the doorbell. I could hear her coming down the stairs, and I could see her coming. I could hear her coming to the door. I thought, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? She has gone to a lawyer. She's going to divorce me. And she opened the door, and she's very beautiful, blonde hair, and she's kind of this height, and I'm this height. So I'm looking down. So I'm looking down at her like that. What am I going to say? And she's looking up at me with these huge, big blue eyes. Not an expression on her face. I looked down at her and I said, I got to think quick. And I said, why didn't you pay the ransom? What did I say? I was warned about my language.
Oh, my goodness. Richard.
It's a true story. That's
Richard.
True. In fact, I tell you what, she's can you believe we're going to the White House tomorrow? And she's the Aska. She's out there. And
the woman is still with you? Still
yeah, we're great friends.
Is she sitting next to a guy in a cowboy hat?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you tell us? Give us a story about yourself and Peter O'Toole.
Oh well, we were great friends, Peter. He was in an academy in London, and I was in the academy, not the same one in London. We kind of were good chums. We were kind of both students.
School kids.
School kids.
Yeah.
And there was a play on in Brighton. Paul Schofield was doing a play, and we wanted to go down and see him. We didn't have any money, too much money, so he had an old rackety old car. We went down to Brighton, and Brighton's on the coast, right on the sea coast with the beach and all that kind of thing. And we go down there, and we book a presidential suite at the hotel. You know, we don't have too much money. We're
Big
students.
shots.
Big shots,
Yeah.
big shots. So we go to the play, and we drink all weekend. We own room service. Finally, I said, we have to leave, Peter, in about an hour. How much money have you got? He said, he'd nothing. I had nothing. We couldn't pay the bill. It was pouring with rain outside, storm, and the beaches were dangerous to swim, and there was huge waves and so forth. You can't swim. And I said to Peter, look, I got an idea. Let's take off your clothes now, strip. So he stripped, I stripped, and we left on our underwear.
Good thinking.
And we rolled them up into a ball. We rolled them up into a ball, and I threw them out the window into a little side street where our window was facing out, the side street, out the bathroom window. It landed. I said, come on, let's pretend we're going for a swim. Yeah. Because we couldn't get out without paying the bill. So we put towels around us, and we walked out the lobby. Hello. And they said, and this woman there, the manager said, where are you going? So we're going for a swim. She said, a swim? A swim? It's dangerous. The waves are 10 feet tall out there. There's a current. You can't do that. And I said, yes, we're going for a swim. We're going for a swim. We're Irish. We're tough. We know how to deal with these things. Out we go. As soon as we're out the door, we snuck up the little side lane, got our clothes, into the car, got his car off. Didn't pay the bill.
Cool.
Terrible cool. But the end of the story was this. O'Toole now, years later, did Lawrence of Arabia. He became a big star. I did Camelot or something, became a big star. And I go down to Brighton 10 years later to do a concert. And I unfortunately forgot about the story of the stealing the hotel, not paying the bill. And I go in, and I recognize the lobby. Oh, my God. And I'm signing my name, and it's the same woman behind the desk. I signed in, and I kind of... And I covered, and I was walking towards the lift. She said, oh, Mr. Harris. And I said, yes. She said, we thought you and Mr. O'Toole drowned.
You should use that ransom line on her. That would have got her. Now, did we want to take a shot of this woman or not? Is she actually out there? I noticed the lights came up. Are we going to see? Is she easy to find? Huh? We're not sure where she is. Okay, probably just as well.
You say he's telling lies.
The miniseries Abraham on TNT. It's a big
Easter
two-parter.
Sunday, Easter Sunday, Easter Monday.
So it'll be a nice big event.
Yes, terrific.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you for having me back.
Come back anytime.
I will.
Richard.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you here. Richard Harris, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. All right, we're always very excited when this man has time in his schedule to come pay us a visit, all too infrequently. Our first guest is a 7-time Academy Award nominee. His films include My Favorite Year, Beckett, and, of course, Lawrence of Arabia. Please, folks, welcome one of the all-time great actors, Peter O'Toole. Peter, welcome to The Late Show. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, but my noble transport is a little thirsty.
Sir, very nice job.
I believe that's called a stupid pet trick.
Yes, it is. Come right over here and have a seat, Peter. Good to see you. Quite interesting. Tell you what, we have to pause here for a second. We'll do a commercial. When we come back, we'll visit with our friend Peter O'Toole. Come on back, folks. This is the Late Show. We're coming to you tonight again from London. This, of course, is Peter O'Toole. What a magnificent entrance. And you know, I was supposed to come over there and help you get off with a ladder.
True. But I was falling.
Oh. Well, then if I'd known you were going to fall, you don't need the ladder for that.
It seemed quicker to hop.
Mm-hmm. What kind of camel was it? I don't know anything about that.
That one?
Yeah.
It's a little zoo camel. I think it's a sweet little dog. But I've not been on one for 34 years.
34 years? And when was the last time you were on one? Was that for Lawrence of Arabia?
It was,
oh,
yeah.
my God. How much time during the making of that motion picture did you spend on a camel, and why didn't you keep up with it after the film?
Well, as you can see, I have done.
Yeah.
The trouble is parking. There's no difficulty in parking, exactly. It's the traffic wardens. When they come with their parking tickets, they don't know where to stick them. I could make a few suggestions.
No. What about Omar Sharif and you on camels? Is there...
Well, Omar is in London, and he was going to come down with us tonight. We were going to pull a gag on you.
Oh.
But alas, he's rehearsing.
Oh, too bad.
But if you remember the film Lawrence of Arabia, there was a famous scene of a charge at Aqaba, in which my face was described by Time magazine as with a look of messianic determination as we charged. What in fact happened was we'd been in Arabia for 9 months. When we came to do the charge at Aqaba, we were in Spain, on the east coast of Spain. And Aqaba had been built on the seafront. Well, no racing camels, no sweet things like Topsy.
Racing camels are thoroughbreds in the camel family.
In the camel family.
They go.
They do, 30 miles an hour.
Is camel racing popular?
In Arabia?
Oh, of course, yeah.
I don't think it will take off here.
No.
Royal Ascot, can you imagine the Queen? Well, came the day of the charge, and we were given Moroccan plough camels who had never had a human being on their hump.
Right.
Poor loves, they'd just been...
It's an interesting phrase. I'm just turning it over a couple of times.
I watched it turn over. And, of course, these poor little things were floundering around, and they'd never been ridden. They didn't know what to do, and we were doing a mile down a shaly hill with lots of cameras on helicopters and one thing and another. 50 camels and 400 horses. Well, it was going to be very, very dangerous indeed.
Yes.
So I went to the caravan which Omar and I were sharing, and there he was, and as you may know, Omar is a gambling man. Mm-hmm. And he was looking very solemn. And I said, what are you thinking about, Omar? He said, well, I'm working out the odds, Peter. I said, what odds, Omar? He said, whether or not the camel will fall over, or whether I will fall off the camel. The odds on the camel falling over are 6 to 4 against, but the odds of me falling off the camel are even money. I saw the sense of that. I said, so what do you intend to do? He said, I'm going to tie myself onto the camel.
Is that a good idea, do you think?
I said to him, is that a good idea, do you think? And he said, it's absolute logical sense.
Right.
This is the odds. I've got Eddie the prop man, and he's going to tie me around and look at him. So I thought, well, I don't really fancy being adhered to a camel. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that, Omar. I'm going to get drunk.
That's an option right there. Always an option.
And Omar said, oh, I'm going to get drunk as well.
So he's tied to a camel and drunk.
So we got a bottle of brandy and 2 bottles of milk, and we drank the brandy and the milk. And, of course, by this time, we were supremely confident of doing anything.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, a little milk will do that for you.
But he was tied to the camel. Off went the rockets. Boom. And, of course, the camels, out of sheer terror, bolted. And this look of messianic determination on my face was, in fact, a drunk actor.
Yeah. Well, that's not bad. I tell you what, we can hang around a little bit longer. We have to do another commercial. When we come back, we'll continue chatting with Peter O'Toole, folks. Welcome back to the program. Peter O'Toole is here, Van Morrison, Sinead O'Connor, and the Chieftains also later on the program tonight. You know, maybe you do know this, maybe you don't know this. I don't know if you keep in touch with the man or not. Richard Harris has been on our show many, many times in New York City. He's always delightful, always charming, always has great stories, and sometimes he has stories about you. And I was wondering if tonight maybe you happen to have a story about Richard Harris.
Oh, I'll shuffle through my memories. Clean?
Whatever you want. This is British TV. Go nuts.
Well, in the old days when Richard and I were young and poor, he lived in a dirty little spot in Earl's Court. It was a cupboard, I fancy, which he'd rented. And one night we'd been frolicking.
Now, what does that mean? Let me stop you right there. When you say frolicking, what are we talking about?
Well, it's a kind of joicing word, really. An F and a ollock and a...
Oh, yeah.
And we'd finished our frolicking, and, of course, I was living nowhere in particular, so I thought I may as well kip on Richard's floor or his sofa, or even if he was too drunk, I could kip in the bed. Didn't really matter. And we got back to this little filthy spot of his in Earl's Court, and we were hungry, and not hungry for beer or whiskey.
A meal, an honest meal.
Hungry.
Yeah.
So we opened the freezer, and inside there was one chop.
Pork chop?
I don't know if it was a pork chop or a lamb chop or what kind of chop it was.
I'm going to pretend it was a pork chop. All right?
There was this old pork chop.
All right, good.
Kosher pork chop. Ancient. Clearly been there for quite a long time. Not as savoury as a camel. So we smelt it, looked at it, and thought better of it. We weren't. So we threw it through a window. Pop. Came the morning. We left his hole. And under the window from which we'd thrown the pork chop, there was a dead dog. My dear friend Richard Harris tells the same story, but in his version, it's a cat.
Whole different deal.
Which will show you what condition Richard was in.
Oh, I thought it might have been a cat, yeah. Well, either way, it's a lovely story. What are you up to these days? What occupies your time now?
I'm scribbling again. I've just finished Volume 2. You were kind enough to be very helpful in the promotion of Vol 1, and Vol 2 is now completed, and it'll be into the hands of the publisher. And we tell all, of course, loitering with intent.
Oh, good, good. Now listen, you have to promise me something. The next time you get anywhere near New York City, or if you want to come back here tomorrow night, please do it. You're always welcome here. You're wonderful, and it's great fun to have you with us.
Thank you.
Peter O'Toole, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Boys and girls, our first guest is a real favorite around here with all of us on The Late Show. He is an Academy Award-nominated actor. This man has a brand new film opening December 15th. It's called Cry, The Beloved Country. Please do me a favor. Welcome now our good friend, Richard Harris. Richard, come on out. How you doing? Good. You know, you're an imposing figure when you cross the stage. I forget that you're as tall as you are. You must be about 6 feet plus, huh? 6 feet something?
6'2".
6'2". I had no idea. Yeah, and this with the long jacket and everything. You could not have been anything but an actor with that entrance. Very, very nice.
I'm not so sure about being an actor, but there we are.
Yeah?
Yeah, I guess. I became an actor to get away from home, I think.
Yeah. What age was that?
What? I think I was about 19 or 20. And I tell you how I became an actor. Absolutely accidentally, okay? My father was a flour miller.
Flour miller?
Yeah, he had flour mills. He was milling flour and grain and that. And he had to... What's so funny?
There's not funny about that. There's nothing funny about that.
It's okay about that.
Somebody has to mill the damn flour. I don't see you folks milling your own flour. That ain't gonna happen, is it?
Somebody has to make the bread.
Exactly.
So he wanted to get a truck, a huge big truck, an enormous big truck, you know, to deliver flour and grain, because the other ones are getting kind of old. And he sent me to Dublin to pick up the truck. And I live in Limerick, which is 120 miles away. And I had been suspended for life from driving at that stage.
At the age of 19 years old, yeah. Suspended for life.
Life, yeah. I swear it's true. I had 9 car crashes.
Oh, boy.
Okay? And I went to Dublin, and I knocked over a double-decker bus in Dublin.
Wow.
Yeah, I swear. And
that's serious.
I swear. And the judge said to me, Mr. Harris, the next time you come to Dublin, I suggest you come by helicopter. He says you can fly over red lights, buses, and pedestrians. Yeah. So I said to my dad, is this wise to have me go to Dublin? He said, yes. You know, the brothers are working, off you go. So I went to Dublin. He said, but you must be back by 6 o'clock in the morning for everybody to catch the grain and the meal and deliver it around the country. I said, I'll be back. I go to Dublin, pick up the truck. And of course, on the way back, I pull up at pubs, have a couple of drinks, chat to the barman, chat to a football player, chat to a farmer. And suddenly, I'm kind of drunk. And I have talked...
kind of drunk.
Kind of drunk.
Yeah.
And I have talked myself out. And I look at the watch and I think, I'll never make it in time. I'm miles away from Limerick. I'll never make it. So I think what I'll do is I'll go down I'll take a little detour. So detouring in Ireland is very dangerous because the roads are very small. So I took this huge giant truck and I detoured around a place called Killaloo, going down little boreens. And I came to a bridge. And the bridge said, danger. 15 feet high. And I knew the truck was 22 feet high. And I had to go under the bridge with the truck. So I thought, well, I can't go back, I can't reverse back, I'll be late for my dad, he'll kill me. So I said, I know. Supposing I race the truck through the bridge, maybe the bridge won't notice that the truck is higher than the bridge. So I raced it, raced it down, went under the bridge, and I heard. I'm in the middle of the bridge, stuck. Half the top of the thing is gone.
Peeled right back.
It's gone,
yeah.
right? And just then, a policeman was coming on a bicycle, going to work. Okay? And the Irish have a great habit of asking the most stupid questions. And the policeman said, "Hey, is there something wrong there?" And I said, "No, wait for it." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, what the hell are you doing?" And I said, "Well, you're not going to believe this, Sergeant, but I'm supposed to deliver this bridge." And I'd lost the address.
Suspended for life.
So I said...
My God.
So I said, "I'm not going home. He'll kill me." So I hitchhiked back to Dublin, got on a boat, became an actor.
There you go. Just bailed out of the whole damn deal. You know, I saw this afternoon, we were looking at some clips from the movie Cry the Beloved Country. Man, are you good in that thing. You know, it's so nice to see you working, and I was so taken by the performance. It's just, the whole thing is very rewarding.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It was a nice piece of work.
It's a wonderful...
How old a guy are you?
In the picture?
No, now, right here, sitting right here. I know you don't have a license, so we can't prove it.
I tell you what I am. I'm 2 minutes past midnight.
No.
The shoe doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
I have 2 lives of 30. How's that?
2 lives? You're 60 years old?
I'm more than that.
Oh, man, but you have such vitality and such energy.
I'm 65, actually.
65.
Yes.
Man, you don't... We got to do a commercial. We'll be back here with Richard Harris, folks. Peter, I just said Peter O'Toole is here. That's how dumb I am. I was thinking of you. No, come here. Hey. Richard Harris is here. Jennifer Aniston and Salt and Pepper. Well, we had Peter O'Toole on the show when we were in London.
Hysterical.
Yeah, and I think of the two of you guys together. Are you still? You don't drink anymore, do you?
Well, I gave it up for 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah. It was the most boring 14 years of my life.
No.
And you know, but however, you know, the advantage was that when I gave it up, I could remember, having given it up, I could remember what I did the night before.
Yes.
Which is, you know what it's like, it's tough. and then I realized what I did the night before wasn't worth remembering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So...
When I stopped, and I don't know that I was ever drinking in your league, because I have a feeling you were like world class.
We were. If there were the Olympics
you'd have been
for
right
drinking vodka, I would have won the gold
on the
medal.
first team.
And O'Toole maybe would have been a good second. Maybe a good second.
The thing that I remember noticing first about when I stopped was in the morning, you feel pretty good. And it was the first time I remember feeling pretty good in the morning for all those years that I had been drinking. You know what I mean?
I do.
Usually by 1 or 2, you're thinking, the feeling in my tongue is returning.
I know.
What was it?
Were you ever anointed?
Anointed.
I mean, well, I was always in hospital. You know, I was always rushed off to hospital because I collapsed and so forth. And I used to kind of wake up in oxygen tents, you know. And I would say, you know, I'd say, when am I going to die?
Yeah.
And the doctor would say, well, be patient. You know? And I said, and I remember being anointed by a priest. I think the priest was a bit tipsy. And the priest came in to anoint me. You ever been anointed?
You're
as a
on the
Catholic?
way out, is
Oh,
what you're
you're
talking
going to
about.
die, and they're
No.
going to anoint you.
No.
And he comes over me and he says to me, well, I got to hear your confession. When was your last confession? I said, oh, I can't remember. And he said, well, do you have a lot of sins? I said, oh, yeah. He said, well, okay. Then he said, I'll hear your confession. I said, pull up a chair. This could take a long time. And I said, and by the time I finish, you may have regretted your vow of celibacy. Right? So he's got this thing of holy water, and they kind of sprinkle it over you, like this. They sprinkle it, and he's saying, you know, De profundis clamaviate Domini omnes gentes, laudati omni omnes populi. And I said, to the priest, I said, hold on a sec, let me die of natural causes. You're going to drown me to death here. You know?
But you know, that goes back to what I was talking about before the commercial. Knowing the kind of life you have lived, and enjoyed, obviously, you punished yourself, but you look like $1 million now.
Oh, I feel great.
And you have great vitality.
Yeah. But you know, I tell you, the difficulty is remembering your life. Now, Peter O'Toole and I were together, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, for a photograph they did on Vanity Fair, and we talked about the past, and I couldn't remember half of it. But I came over here for the premiere of the picture Cry the Beloved, and my 2 ex-wives came to the premiere. So they decided that they were going to write a biography of me, right?
Oh.
And they were going to call it In Spite Of, right? And they began to tell me stories that I can't remember because I was always drunk, you know what I mean, when I was married to him, right? I couldn't remember him. And the best story I ever heard was Elizabeth, my first wife, and she was divorcing me, and she had a very tough lawyer, a real tough lawyer. And the fair play to her, she didn't know this was going on. So the tough lawyer, trying to ingratiate himself with her, hired a private detective to follow me around London.
Find out what no good things you're up to.
What no good things I was doing. So my lawyer found out about it, and he gave me the private detective's number in a card. I had it. One night, I got very angry at this, and fair play to her, she didn't know it. At least she tells me that.
Yeah.
Now, I suddenly got very, very, very drunk one night.
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
Just one of those things.
Yeah. And I'm passing, and I'm wandering around the streets, and I pass the Dorchester Hotel, and I go in, and I get the phone at 3 in the morning, and I call up the private detective, and he's fast asleep. And I said, Mr., I won't give you his name, Mr. So-and-so, so-and-so. He says, yes. I said, I'm sorry to wake you up. Well, I wonder why you should wake me at 3 in the morning. Who are you? And I said, this is Richard Harris. And there was and I said, look, I believe you're following me. I'm dead drunk. Could you please tell me where I am? True story.
What can you do? Richard, the Cry of the Beloved Country opens December 15th. It's you and James Earl Jones, right? And what I've seen of it, as I mentioned earlier, it looks like a very, very moving, powerful.
Well, Mandela
fine
was
piece
there
of work.
last night, you know.
For the premiere.
For the premiere. And he
Screening.
was actually overpowered by it. He said it was painful for him, but he said it's the most accurate movie about that particular situation in South Africa. And it's not a political movie. It's done as, it's almost...
It's a very personal story, isn't it?
It is. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Good for you. You're an inspiration to me, and I'm not sure why, but you are. Richard, thank you very much for being here. Always a pleasure.
Drink again.
Richard Harris.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Stay right there. Paul Schaefer and I, attaboy Dave. In our 16th year of entertaining late-night television, American television audiences. Congratulations, Paul. Nice job, buddy.
Congratulations to you.
Thanks. On the show tonight, Richard Harris is out here, a great actor, interesting man, lived a fascinating life, and truly last of the great raconteurs. You know what I'm saying, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah. Siskel and Ebert, they'll be out, and, Also, joke. It's a joke.
Okay.
It's a joke because I love these men.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. Also, the Far East Circus will be out here. Chinese acrobats. It's an amazing display. If you've not seen them before, well, see them tonight. And David Sanborn, who might do a little tumbling with the acrobats as well. That'd be cute.
Wow.
During the commercial, I went over there and tried to talk to David, and I remember, this is how dumb I am. I haven't seen him in a while, so I'm over there carrying on a conversation. You can't really talk to a guy who's playing the saxophone.
No.
But I tried, didn't I, Dave?
found that out.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest is an exceptional actor who stars in 2 upcoming films, Smila's Sense of Snow, opening February 28th, and The Hunchback on TNT in March. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the always entertaining Richard Harris. Richard. Do you ever sing that anymore? Do you ever sing that song?
No.
Do you ever go anywhere and just sing it for the heck of it?
No.
Would you like to sing it here tonight? Come on, sing it here. Come on, sing it here tonight.
Definitely not.
You look good. You look great. You
feel
always,
great.
you know, I'm very impressed by you because you have that joie de vivre. You have that robust love of life, and it shows. And I'm happy to have you here again.
So every time I come on your show, we get letters from Random House and Simon & Schuster saying, please put all these down on paper.
There you go.
We want to do an autobiography.
Yeah.
So I said, why just turn on the David Letterman show and there it is. You got my whole life ahead.
Now, haven't you written a book? I thought you had written a book.
No.
Were you considering writing a book? Everybody.
No.
Peter O'Toole's written like book after book after. It's like an encyclopedia.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
O'Toole's 2 books are great. Are absolutely wonderful.
You know, I'm looking at you there and tonight more than ever, you look to me like Ernest Hemingway. Look at this guy. Paul, doesn't this look like Ernest Hemingway to you? With the turtleneck there and the hair and the beard? Yeah.
But I'm not going to kill myself.
No.
Not yet.
Tell me about your, went back to Ireland not so long ago?
Well, you know, I always I save stories.
Good.
And I went back to Ireland, and now this is, none of you are going to believe this. This is a true story.
All right.
I swear to God this is true. None of you are going to believe it. But there are 5 guys in Ireland, and when I grew up at school, 5 guys in Ireland were called the 5 Musketeers, and every single year we meet to celebrate our non-graduation from school.
This is great. Been going on since you were kids.
Yeah, we didn't graduate at all. So we'd always meet every year, and we agreed we'd meet, and we'd go to the 4 pubs that we spent our youth in, where we had our first drink, our first vomit, our first girlfriend, our first love affair, our first this, and we went to those 4 pubs.
Do you know the names of the pubs? Can you remember the names?
Yes, I do. Wait a while now.
Don't want to know.
No, yes, I do. I'll tell you in a second. So, now, one was called Dirty Nelly's, one was called Charlie St. George's. You want some more?
Yeah.
There's 2 of them. Now, what we used to do was this. We swore, therefore, as life went on, that when we died, the remaining 4 of us would take the dead body, on a pub crawl. I swear this is true. Last October, the first one of us died. Mossy Curtin died. So I fly back to Ireland, and we go to his wake, and he's lying on the kitchen table, and he's lying, because we have a great way of celebrating death in Ireland. It's passing through up there. We're going up there to a better place. I hope there's Guinness up there. I can swear that. So I tell you, it's true. So listen. So he's lying there, and he has the most beatified, contented smile on his face, lying on the table like that. And I said to his wife, Mary, I said, look, he's got this beautiful smile on his face. And I swear to you, this is what she said. She said, Dickie, because I was known as Dickie, you see. Dickie, she said, he died in his sleep. He doesn't know he's dead yet. Listen for the next one. Wait. And the next one was, she said, and if he should wake up in the morning and find he's dead, he'll have a heart attack.
It'll kill him.
It'll kill him. No, wait. The best is yet to come. So we all went into the parlor, and myself and the other 3 guys took the body, put it into a car, we promised, into the back of the van, and we took it to the 4 pubs. And we took the stiff out, we laid him up on the counter, cleaned the booze off, cleaned the people out, put him up on the counter, and I ordered the drinks. 3 Guinnesses, one large vodka and tonic, and a large whiskey for Mossy.
So we take the drink and we pour it over Mossy's face. And I swear, and I swear to God, that smile got broader and broader. I swear. Now, wait. Now, the pub was raided by the police. It was at 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. This happened last October. And the police raided the pub about 4 or 5 in the morning. They came in and said, what the hell's going on here? What's going on here? Who are you? What's happening here? Give me your names and addresses straight away. He started taking down my name, and he came to Mossy. What's your name? And he said, don't pretend you're dead. What's your name? I swear. You're dead. What's your name?
Don't pretend you're dead.
I swear. And he reaches down and he takes the hand and he says, geez, he is dead. He said, right? And he said, pick up that stiff and take him out of here straight away. He said, and it's the first time, he said, that Mossy Curtin has ever been carried out of a pub sober. Wait. And the guy behind the bar said, but it won't be the first time he ever left this pub, he said, without buying his drink. Because, of course, he never bought the round, right?
So now will the tradition, it'll continue?
Yeah. I swear. But you know what worries me? What worries me was, because I intend to be the last to die. Mm-hmm. Who's going to take me on the pub crawl?
I'll take you.
Will you?
I'll take you.
Is
Me
that
and
a
Paul.
deal?
Paul, you and me, we'll take Richard.
Sure.
Yeah.
To the 4 pubs?
We'll take you
I'll give you
around.
the address of the
go.
4 pubs.
Yeah.
You'll
I'm
take
down.
me there.
We're down.
Bring the band.
Me and David, yeah.
Oh, and the band. Oh, that'd be cool.
You
Whatever
play
you say.
MacArthur Park over the body.
Absolutely.
And I'll have a beatific smile as well lying there right now.
In fact, let's get started on this tonight. What do you say? Just as a practice. Just as a practice run.
Love it.
Tell me, we mentioned Peter O'Toole, and every time you're on, you tell a story about Peter O'Toole. Every time he's on, he tells a story about you. And I know there's a great one, and all I remember it has to do with both of you dressing up in clergy to go see the other. You know what I mean?
I do.
One dresses like something.
I do. Well, I'll tell that story. Now, O'Toole is on tomorrow night here. Peter is on tomorrow. You got to watch this. You got to watch this. My Lord O'Toole, you got to watch him. He, years ago, way back, I think it was the early 60s, I was asked to do a play in London called Ball by Bertolt Brecht. And I thought it was all wrong. I thought I was wrong for this part, totally wrong for this part. Because, as a young guy, I used to get lots of girls and so forth, and I thought, but the character was for an obnoxious, ugly little man who couldn't pull a woman. I said, this is me. I can't be that. I mean, I could pull all the girls in the world. This is stupid. So I turned it down. One night I get a phone call from O'Toole, and he says, have you turned that part down, Mixer? Because that's my nickname for him. He calls me Mixer. Have you turned that part? Have you turned the part down?
I thought it was Dickie.
No, he calls me Mixer.
Oh, okay.
He said, because I'm going to play it. I said, how can you play it? I mean, you're the world's most beautiful looking man. I turned it down because I was too attractive. You're stupid. Don't do it. You'll be a disaster. He did it. And I was doing a play. I picked another play to do. We both opened the same week. I got great reviews. I thought, he's going to die a death. I told O'Toole, don't do it. He got raves. I said, it's impossible. He couldn't get raves. He's totally miscast. So I thought I'd go and see it. I couldn't go and see it dressed as me, Richard Harris, because he'd be told I was there, and he wanted to know why I didn't go back and see him backstage afterwards. Because I knew I'd got to go back and say, you're terrible. I don't care about the reviews. You're terrible. You shouldn't have done it. You've just done Lawrence of Arabia. You shouldn't have done it. As the play went on, he was more magical, more mesmeric, and by the end of the evening, you thought, he's a genius. He's pulled it off. I better go. Oh, no. Oh, no, wait. The most important part was that I couldn't go dressed as me. So I went in disguise. And I went to a costumer, and I got a Roman Catholic priest's outfit.
That's right.
With the collar, the priest, the breviary, the rosary beads, the little cap. And I sanctimoniously sat up in the gallery. There was I with a friend of mine, watching the play, dressed as a priest. And he's brilliant. Now I want to go back and see him. He's going to say, why you come dressed as a priest? I'll have to tell him. I get a bench in the mouth from him like that, right? For distrusting him. But what I did was, I said to my friend, when the play was over, I said, take off your clothes, quick. Take off my clothes, quick. I took off the clothes. I took off the priest's outfit. I made him take off his clothes. I put on his suit, his tie. And I went back and saw O'Toole, dressed with a collar and tie. End of story. Cut. The following day, on the Nigel Dempster, on the William Hickey column on the Daily Express said, there was commotion yesterday in the matinee of Peter O'Toole's play Ball, where a Roman Catholic priest was seen to undress in the gallery. Wait! So O'Toole knew, but he said nothing to me for 7 years. And now I have a hit record called A Tramp Shining, a hit single called MacArthur Park. I decided to go on a concert tour. But I didn't know how good I'd do. So I booked a little concert hall up in a place called Scunthorpe, north of England, to try out to see, was I any good? I mean, could I sing the notes? Could I tell the stories? Could I hold an audience for 2 hours in a one-man show? And I'm up in this little hall in Scunthorpe doing the show, and I hear a commotion at the back of the hall. People laughing. So I stopped the orchestra, stopped the band, stopped the orchestra. I said, what's going on back there? And a voice says, Mixer, I'm Peter O'Toole. I'm here dressed as a nun. It's true.
Cute. Very cute. You gotta write a book. You gotta write a book, buddy. Let's see. Smilla's Sense of Snow opens February 28th, and The Hunchback on TNT in March. Always a pleasure. If you're around, come back tomorrow night.
I will. I got piles of more stories.
Good to see you, Richard. Thank you very much.
And watch O'Toole.
Richard Harris, American Fiscal and Neighbor. Our first guest is a 7-time Academy Award nominee whose films include My Favorite Year and Lawrence of Arabia. He has also written the second installment of his autobiography entitled Loitering with Intent, The Apprentice. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, actor, writer, raconteur, Peter O'Toole. Peter? Peter, how are you?
Not too bad, and you?
What a lovely entrance, and it's good to see you again, and Happy New Year, and as always, thank you very much for coming by to say hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm all right. You must be excited about the publication of your the second installment of your autobiography.
Well, it's interesting because there are 16 photographs in it and not one caption.
Really?
In the American edition.
Now, how did that happen? Is it like a little game or something?
Well, perhaps. Maybe it's just as prosaic as the publishers and the printers forgot. But these are gamey times.
This is the book right here. Go ahead, show them.
Yeah. See, lots of pictures and no captions.
Let me hold it up for you. Right there. So do you have any recollection as to who these folks might be?
Yeah. Sort of. Vaguely. But maybe, as you say, oh, I'll tell you about this fella. Perhaps it's a gimmick. Perhaps they're hoping that someone will find out the captions, enter a competition, and write them down, and the winner will get a copy of the book, properly captioned, but with no text.
It's just, it's... Oh, it's page after page. For example, who is that man? Do you know that man there?
Does anyone know that fellow? Who is it?
Well, I mean, your book, maybe you'd have just a vague idea who it is.
I'm the foggiest.
Oh, so you mean they just put photos in that mean nothing to your life?
Not a thing.
They just went down to the file. We need a dozen photos.
I mean, that's a child murder, isn't it?
Let's talk a little bit about your, by the way, when you were with us in London, and that's been almost 2 years ago, I guess now, and you came in on the camel, people are still talking about that. That was a lot of fun. A lovely image, by the way.
I have a favorite memory of it, is you standing there with a ladder.
That's right.
And I thought, I didn't know it was a ladder. And then when you asked me why I hadn't used the ladder, I thought, oh. That's what it was. I didn't know what you were holding.
Yeah, I was told you needed a ladder to get off the camel, but I wasn't even sure that was a camel, so we're even. Tell me about your life as a child, early acting experiences, trouble that you might have got into pursuing your career, screwing things up a bit.
1955 found me as a novice young actor sharing a dressing room with a man who's in that book without a name.
Oh, that guy you remember.
Yeah, called Robert Atkins, a memorable man. He was a man who, amongst other things, did the entire canon of Shakespeare's works at the Old Vic, 36 plays between 1920 and 1925. And then we were sharing a dressing room. I was awed. We were doing a Dickens, Great Expectations. Robert was playing Pumblechook, and I was playing Jaggers. And Robert said to me, what's the next play, old son? And I said, we're doing Othello. He said, oh, Othello. What part are you playing, old son? I said, I'm playing Lodovico, Robert. Oh, Lodovico. The clown who forgets the letter. Read the play, Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Lodovico, a trumpet sound. Othello says, who's blowing that trumpet? Enter Lodovico, the senators and Duke of Venice greet you, and hands a letter to Othello. And first night, it was going quite well. Who's playing that trumpet, says Othello. The Duke and senators of Venice greet you. And I felt my cloak held, and I thought someone was standing on it. So I gave it a great tug. And it was trapped in the arch. And the effect was to pull the entire set. Bang. And I could see no smoking. And the door out, and a couple of stage hands, and this blank wall, and debris.
Yeah, it's downtown Cyprus.
And out came Othello, blind with the boot polish, the black makeup, in a rage. And, of course, Robert hadn't done those 36 plays for nothing. He knew what could go wrong and who could make it go wrong. I'd forgotten the letter. I didn't have the letter.
You destroy the set and you don't have the prop.
So I was saying, I'm terribly sorry, Othello, but I was holding my cloak up. I don't have the letter. And Othello was pounding at the cloak. I said, no.
There's no mail for you today, Othello. Try FedEx tomorrow.
Right. No letter, no scene. No Desdemona, no play. No, Desdemona couldn't get on because there was no set for her to come on from. He was pounding away, and I saw Desdemona using a lot of initiative, poor little child, sobbing noisily, and she came tripping on from exactly the wrong spot.
Yeah.
And boom, and Othello was in a great fury, and he turned around and boom, and smashed her face.
Oh, my God.
And the lip went, and the tooth went,
Oh.
and there was blood, no smoking,
Yeah.
no letter, debris, and they had to pull the curtain down.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad idea.
And I was kicked out. I was sacked.
Well, and, when something like that happens, when you look back on it, it's amazing that, that you've been this wonderful success that you have. I mean, a setback like that, wouldn't you think, well, maybe this ain't for me? Wouldn't you? I tell you what, stay right there, and we'll do a commercial. We'll continue here chatting with Peter O'Toole. We'll be right back, folks. Here's a picture. Peter, introduce this gentleman to the folks.
That's my father.
Your father, at what age?
70.
70. And the women escorting your father?
I don't know.
You know who was here last night? It was Richard Harris, of course. And whenever Richard is on, he always goes on. And by the way, do you drink? Do you drink still? Do you have a drink every now and then?
Rarely.
Yeah. Now, we were talking to a bartender from New Jersey earlier who said the most popular distilled spirit, is vodka. Would that be your choice if you wanted to do a...
No.
What would it be?
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Or beer.
Whiskey or beer?
Yeah. Yeah. Harris and I did a photo session a few months back. And at the end of the shoot, he turned around to me and gave me a first edition James Joyce.
Very nice.
He's a dangerous bugger.
Now, there's a caption for a picture right there.
But he's the most generous and loyal of friends.
Yeah.
But there was a pretty thing. Last reported sighting of Richard was Dublin Airport. This is only a couple of weeks back, refusing to give an autograph to a woman who was very importunate. And the reason he wouldn't give the autograph is she wanted Peter O'Toole's autograph.
And he had that up his nose a little bit, huh?
But I think that's fair, because I was in the Alamo in Texas about 2 years back, wandering around doing nobody any harm. And the tour guide said, this is perhaps rude of me, but over there is that distinguished English actor who starred in Camelot. Mr. Richard Harris. Well, had Mr. Bowie been alive, I'd have borrowed his knife.
Loitering with Intent, The Apprentice. It's by our good friend, a fine man, a real gentleman, Peter O'Toole. Peter, good to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll be right back with Salma Hayek, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is a seven-time Academy Award nominee whose films include, of course, Lawrence of Arabia and My Favorite Year. He has a new motion picture entitled Phantoms. It opens January 23rd. Here is the legendary Peter O'Toole. Peter. Hi, Peter. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Welcome to the theater again. How are you?
Not too bad.
Did you have a nice holiday?
I did. Yes. I was going to go to Ireland, but I had to stay in England for a while.
What was your when you were a kid? What were the holidays like then for you?
It's wonderful. I don't have to do anything at all. The Christmas before the war began. 1939. And I was 6. And I was determined to see if there was a Father Christmas. You call him Santa Claus.
Santa
But
Claus?
in Ireland and England we call him Father Christmas. Same fellow.
Yeah.
So I crept down the stairs, avoided my minder, and I was determined to see if this Father Christmas bloke did exist and was he coming. And I was crouched at the bottom of the stairs, and naturally I nodded off, and I heard noises. I thought, he's here. Open, switch, light, and there's my mother standing at the light. And this is the days when Christmas trees were put up only on Christmas Eve.
Right.
And there was my father sitting on the floor with a Christmas tree across himself and his bowler hat over one eye and brown paper bags. And I marched up and I said, "Daddy, is there a Father Christmas?" Well, he got up and went through the door. What I didn't know is he took a brown paper bag with him, which he obviously blew up. But all I heard from the shut door was a bang! He'd blown up the bag. And he came back in, looked at me very solemnly and said, "Peter, Father Christmas has just shot himself."
That's a cute story. Wow, as a kid, but the guilt you must have suffered all your life that Santa had killed himself in your kitchen. What a horrible thing for a kid.
No, I felt rather reassured. It proved he had been human.
In fact, he was there at one point. Sure, dead now, of course, but had been here earlier. You just missed him. He's now getting cold in the kitchen. Do you have and I feel like every time you're on here, I ask you the same thing. Do you have one of these great stories about when you were doing live theater? Just, it seems like you can't really do theater and not have a couple hundred of these stories.
Well, I can tell you of a theatrical fiasco in which I was involved, but for which I was not responsible. Honest.
That's fine, okay.
It was a queer piece. We were touring in the 50s, later 50s in England. The setting was a beach with, on one side, a door and a flight of stairs leading down to that beach. And the whole of the back was the ocean, the sea, with blue cyclorama and screens and scrim tending to be the sea, cunningly lit, with concealed lights being foam and phosphorus and ripples.
Wow, this is pretty good.
The curtain went up on Sylvia Sims and me in swimming gear, having appeared to have been in that sea, having had an early morning dip. I was Roger, and Sylvia was Pamela. And coming down the steps of the beach house and going towards a deck chair was Nicholas Meredith, a merry man. And Nick's lines, which have been burned into my memory, were, "Morning, Roger. Something about a deck chair. Austerity, poise, and comfort. The austerity is an illusion, the comfort is achieved only with difficulty, and the poise we leave to Pamela." Snappy stuff, yeah. Well, Nick had decided that he would address these lines while he was putting up a deck chair. Well, it was one of those wooden jobs, the old-fashioned with the canvas and the
difficult
struts. Yeah, difficult.
Unwieldy.
You have to stick into the notches and finger jammers.
Quick kangaroo on you. Well, what it is. You whap, just whoops, it's kangaroo on you. Yeah.
Well, sometimes he got the chair up, sometimes not. At all times it was funny.
Yeah.
And over the weeks of this boring tour, it got funnier and funnier, as these things do. And Nick was a pathological giggler, which giggles he could conceal, in his view, by coughing.
Well, that's just fine.
Something about a deck chair. Austerity. Ho, ho. And when he got hysterical, with fits of laughter, he would twist his hair And that meant under no circumstances, could it conceive that I am, I'm laughing. We had a meeting because it was getting out of hand. It was the beginning of this very serious play. I was no more laughs, really. It must stop. Because we were giggling, and as you know, it happens in the theatre. It's ridiculously unprofessional, but nevertheless, it does go on. Curtain went up, Sylvia and I came tripping on. Nick attacked the chair. Something about a deck chair. Austerity, poison, and then to extricate himself from this comical nightmare, he improvised a line. He said, "I'm going to post a letter," and leaving behind a pile of canvas and timber, he marched resolutely into the sea. There was a palm tree. I popped behind the palm tree, thinking, I didn't do this. It's not my fault. On his progress into the sea, fully clothed, he kicked over a light. It sparked, smoke, a little flicker of flames. Sylvia just left the stage. I pretended I was disappearing and invisible behind a palm tree. Nick was floundering around in a burning sea. And onto the stage came a fireman, dressed from head to foot in firefighter's kit,
Of course, sure.
with that big brass helmet on, and the fire bell was going off, you know, the round brass job with the hammer going gling, and he had an axe. And the whole thing was in flames. And the curtain came down, and that was the end of that very serious play.
Peter, you have a new film, Phantoms, opens on January 23rd. I hope it does very well for you.
Thank you very much.
The best for a happy, healthy 1998. Please come back anytime. Good to have you here. Peter O'Toole, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with Martin Scorsese. Our next guest is an Academy Award-nominated actor who stars in the big blockbuster film Gladiator, currently in theaters. Here is the always entertaining Richard Harris. Richard. Did you know John Gielgud passed away, 96 years old on Sunday? Did you work with him? Did you know him? Were you friends?
Well, I tell you, I didn't know him at all. And because we came from a different generation of actor, he was part of the sort of the old style, sort of classical actor and so forth and that. And I didn't know him at all. He was renowned for his faux pas.
Mistakes? He would make silly mistakes?
At cocktail parties, at dinners, he would say the wrong thing at the wrong time. And
kind of rings a bell here.
True?
Yeah.
So I was in the Bahamas, and it was his 90th birthday. And I thought, as an actor, out of respect, I should call him. So I got his number, and I rang him. And he actually answered the phone himself. And he sort of speaks like that, you know. And he said, hello, 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 hello. And I said, hello, Sir John. Yes, it is. And I said, I've called. I said, my name is Richard Harris. Who? I said, Richard Harris. I've called you from the Bahamas to wish you a happy birthday, your 90th birthday. we're very proud of you in the profession. Harris. He said, I don't know Harris. Richard Harris at all. You could not call him. He said, well, there was a Richard Harris, an actor, I believe, but he was a rather rude, sort of crude, aggressive sort of chap. I don't suppose at all that it's you. You're so polite to call me. And there was a long pause, and I said, well, actually, Sir John, this is the Richard Harris who was rude, crude, and aggressive. It's the same man calling you now. There was a long pause, and I could hear this. Oh, dear. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh, dear. And then a pause, and he said, oh, he said, the folly in rumour. The folly in rumour. And then he said, well, it's very, very polite of you to call me, very, very, very charming of you to call me from, he said, have a nice day in Bermuda. And I said, well, actually, Sir John, I'm in the Bahamas. Oh, dear, oh, dear. He said, well, I believe the sun shines there, too.
Yeah, sure, why not? Very charming story.
Yeah.
You don't drink anymore, do you? Are you drinking?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't drink spirits.
You don't. So that means wine, beer,
I
maybe.
drink wine and beer and Guinness. Yeah.
And and how's your friend Peter O'Toole? He's not drinking now, or he is drinking now?
As Peter O'Toole said on this show one night, when you said, how is Richard Harris? O'Toole said, he's a very dangerous bastard. O'Toole is a very dangerous bastard. I met him one day on the street. He gave up drinking years ago. He's still off it, actually. And I met him on the street one day, and I swear this is true, and he said, and he was off booze. And I met him, and there's no doubt he'd been drinking all day and all night. You could smell it, you could, from his body language. And I said, how are you, Peter? I hear you're off the booze. Ah, yes, he says, Richard. I am off the booze, he said. He said, you know, he said, I tell you, it's great. He said, if you want to stop the booze, do what I'm doing now. I said, what is that, Peter? He said, I'm a member of Alcoholic Anonymous. Oh. I said, is that good? He said, yes. He said, now I can drink under an assumed name. Oh, God.
When you were drinking, and say you would go into a pub, would there be trouble, or would there not? I mean, I know you are prone to trouble sometimes, but do you have a certain immunity because you're famous and you're Richard Harris, or was it just every man for themselves? When you would go into a bar, any kind of ever fight?
Well, yeah, many. But I was drinking in a pub in London. I was actually out in the street drinking up. I took my glass. It was kind of a nice summer's day, and there was some people there. And this girl comes out, and she was Irish, and she was trying to show off, and she was exceedingly rude to me. I mean, really, really, really rude.
I hate that.
I know.
Yeah.
And I said to a young lady, listen, I said, let me tell you something. I said, I can forgive many things in my life. I can forgive rudeness. I can forgive insincerity. I can forgive lack of civility. But there's one thing I cannot forgive, and that is ugliness. And you are the ugliest woman I think I've ever seen in my life. Right? Wow. To which she ran into the pub, and she, with a group of people, and her boyfriend was there. She obviously told the boyfriend what I'd said. Out he comes with a bunch of people, right? He said, I hear you. He said, he was from Dublin. I hear you were rude, he said, to my girl. Why were you rude to my girl? You called her ugly, did you? You called her ugly. And he's pushing himself against me. I thought there's going to be a punch up here, so I went boom with my head. Boom, quick. And he went, hit the floor like that. He crashed against the floor, right?
Oh, my God.
And she danced around him like an Indian in a war dance, saying, Harris has killed me boyfriend. Harris has killed me lover. Harris has killed me fiance. So I got my pint of Guinness and I threw it over his face, and he kind of came through quickly. And then I said, taxi! And I into the taxi, gone like a fly.
Get out!
Out fast.
Oh, man. Hey, how about that? You're in the Gladiator movie. This thing's just a blockbuster, ain't it?
Huge.
Yeah,
huge success.
Yeah. Gladiator, currently in theaters across the country. Good to see you. I hope you have a great summer, Richard.
I will.
Thank you very much for dropping by.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Richard Harris. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm fine. Our first guest is an Academy Award-nominated actor starring in the much-anticipated new film Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which opened today. Here's Richard Harris, everybody. Good. You must be excited. You know, you've had many, many, many nights like this where the movie is opening, and it must be a big thrill. You probably never get tired of that, do you?
Never. No, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary movie.
This is like going to be one of the huge, big Christmas blockbusters of all time.
I think it may just be the biggest movie of all time.
What can you tell us about the Sorcerer's Stones? Did you read the book? Do you know Harry Potter and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I actually never read the books.
Mm-hmm. They're mostly for children, aren't they?
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're for everybody. But I think I've never read the books because I tried to. I mean, when I was offered the picture, the script was terrific, and then I thought I better read the book. The book was not my kind of reading. No, but I tell you, interestingly enough, and I thought, well, will I do it? Will I not do it? And then, of course, there's a complication of doing it because if you do one, you must do the whole lot.
Oh, there's going to be others, sure.
Yeah, well, there's 7 books.
Yeah.
Well, there's 5 written. There are 4 written, and she's got 3 to write. And so Warner's bought all 7. And if you do one, you must do them all. So if they decide to do 7, I'll be 85 or something.
That's all right. We had
They'll be wheeling me on the set with in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank.
Well, what do you think they do with Regis, for God's sake? The other night we had Harry Potter, the kid that plays Harry Potter.
Wonderful
kid. How'd you get along with him?
Super, really super. You know, I tell you that when I said I'd do the picture, do you know why I did the picture finally? Interesting story. There was a story on the. I'll tell you anyway. There was a story on the paper that said, a headline in the Daily Mail that said, every actor in the world is queuing up to be in Harry Potter, but typical Richard Harris, he doesn't want to do it. My granddaughter, who was 11 then, she's 12 now, she read the paper. She is passionate Harry Potter fan. Right. So she called me up and she says, Papa, she's got a hoarse voice, Papa, she said, Papa. I said, yes, sweetheart. If you don't play Dumbledore, I will never speak to you again. And hung up.
Oh, boy.
That was it. That was it. But I'll tell you a funny story. You asked me how I got on with them. When I said I would finally do it, then the director, Chris, at Columbus asked me to come down the set to meet the kids. So I said, sure. So I went down and met the kids, and I played around with them for a while. And then he said, would you mind reading the scenes with them? I said, sure. I'll read the scenes. They all sat around the table, and I read the scene. And when I finished reading and playing with them, the boy who plays Ron Weasley looked up at me, and he said, that was quite a good reading. I think you'll be quite good in this part.
Oh, well.
An 11-year-old, right?
Very nice. We'll be right back with Richard Harris. Richard Harris, everybody. What do you... And I'm not looking for anything in particular, but what do you think of young stars today? And I don't mean like child actors, but I mean like your matinee idol kind of guys today.
Ooh, Not too much.
Really?
No, not too much.
And why is that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that the young actor today has created a sort of an elitism around himself. And they have bodyguards, and then they have dietitians, makeup artists, hairdressers. And, I mean, entourage is like 20.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember once seeing Tom Cruise. He came into a place I was in once, and he's only about 5'1". No, seriously. And he was surrounded by 10 bodyguards who were 6'8".
Right.
Which made him smaller, even more diminutive. But they have this thing. I mean, I like when Harry Potter opened in London, the stars were all there, but they're there. I mean, they go to the opening of an envelope. You know what I mean by that? Yeah. And they sort of dedicate their pictures on the paper. They don't care about the movie. Quite right.
I want to. Is it true that you were thrown out or barred from a hotel in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills, for something that happened when you were staying there?
Which hotel? That hotel I was at. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Beverly Hills was one of them. Yeah. Yes. I remember. Well, I was out there doing something or other, and I got drunk, naturally. And I was staying in the Beverly Hills, and I'm slightly dyslexic, and in those days you could open, the doors didn't lock. You got a key, but you could leave without locking the door of the suite. So I went to the wrong floor. And I thought I was going into room 217, and it was 712 or something. And I got in, and the lights were off and dark in the suite. And I thought, okay, and I took off my clothes, and I got undressed, and I was absolutely stark naked. And I went and I found the bedroom, and then I saw the bed, and I jumped onto the bed and lay back like that, and I heard, ah! And the lights went on, and I am lying between two very old married couples. He was here, she was here. And I looked, and he said, "What in God's name are you doing here?" and I said, if you get a good idea, wake me up, and I went to sleep.
When you're in New York now, and you want to go, say you want to go into a bar, just maybe for whatever you're going in there for. What is it like? I mean, it must create quite a stir when people see, oh, Richard Harris is here.
What I like really is nice, quiet bars. Get a nice, quiet bar. There's not too much noise, no music, and there's only a few of those around in New York now. But I found one. And I went in there one night, and the two guys behind the bar were actually from Limerick, where I'm from, right? And I went up and I sat at the bar. There was about 6 or 7 people there, and I was having my pint of Guinness quietly, and there was a girl sitting at the top of the bar, and all of a sudden the barman came and said, "The young lady up there would like to buy you a drink." And I said, "No, thank you. I'm by myself. I'd like to be by myself." So I drank away again, and then she moved up and she said, "Excuse me," she said, "but, I'd like to buy you a drink." So I said, "Well, okay." I said, "Okay, you can buy me a drink, providing I don't have to talk to you." Right? So the drink came, and I finished it. Another half an hour passed, and she moved slightly to me again. She said, she said, "You're by yourself." I said, "Brilliant observation." And I'm by myself. Equally brilliant. I said, "I can see that." She said, I said, "Excuse me." I said, "Excuse me. Let's get this clear. Are you trying to pick me up?"
Right.
And she said, "Yes." And I said, "How old are you?" She said, "I'm 28. And I said, "I'm 71. Why would a 28-year-old try and pick up a 71-year-old man? And she said, "Because I can't pick up anything else."
Oh, my God. I wouldn't worry about that. But it's great. I'm happy for you, because this is going to be a great movie, very exciting film, and I'm happy you're here, and it's good to see you again.
You too.
You look fantastic. Come back again.
I will.
Good.
I will.
Thank you. Richard Harris, everybody. We'll be right back with George Carlin. Our next guest is a seven-time Academy Award nominee starring in a new film entitled Venus, and it's currently playing in selected cities. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Peter O'Toole. Welcome back. Good to have you with us on the program.
May I, first of all, David, congratulate you on Harry.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very sweet of you. Thank you, sir.
And Harry's mother.
Yes, thank you.
And it's an amazing feeling, do you not find, to have a child in one's more mature years?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
But it knocked me out.
May I ask how late in life did you have children?
I had I had daughters when I was quite young, but I was over 50 before I had my son.
Yeah.
And it completely revolutionized my life.
Yeah, I was concerned about it, but now I think it seems to be just fine. Did you find that to be the case?
Granddad.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Let me. When you're on the program, I always am fond and admire your life and your career, because you're kind of a guy who's led his life as he wants to, and I tried that until I was about 34 and realized, ooh, it's not going to work for me. But you are of the school and perhaps the heritage and the time where drinking was just something you did when you weren't doing anything else. Is that a fair way to express it?
And when you were doing something else.
Why not? Of course. And when you would go out for an evening, anything ever untoward happen? Like, would you the next day? Would you wake up in a? I mean, how did that work?
Many. Well, there's one in particular which I'm fond of. It's my friend, the late Peter Finch, and we were in Dublin together on the Lash.
Lash?
That means usually having a drop of something cheerful.
I see.
And then doing a lot of leaping and shrieking and saying, why not? And Finchy was living about a few miles out of Dublin, and I went back with him to his house where we were going to spend the night. And it was not too late, about 4-ish.
4 a.m.? Yeah.
And there was a tiny little hole-in-the-wall bar. And we thought we'd just drop in for the last one. Well, we went in and we had a couple of drinks. And the barman, and it was a tiny little, really dirty little place, he said, boys, you've had enough. You're having no more. So Finchy and I said, no, we're having much more. No, says he. You're out. So we bought the bar.
There you go. Problem solved.
The following morning, I woke up and Finchy said, do you know what we did last night, mate? I said, no. He said, we bought a bar. I said, what? So immediately on the telephone to cancel checks. But they'd not been cashed. Oh. So we went to the bar, and there was a man with the 2 checks. And
And he said, "No, you two boys have got to behave yourselves." And we fell for him. I mean, he was such a sweet guy. And he hadn't bothered cashing. He gave us the checks back and we tore them up. About a year later, we used to pop in there every night on the way back to Finch's place. About a year later... About a year later, he died. So Finchy and I went over to Ireland for the funeral. And because we got to know him a little bit and his family. Went to the cemetery, and there was this group around the grave, the family, sobbing noisily, and Finchy and I joined them on our knees. And a woman came up and tapped me on the shoulder, and we were at the wrong grave.
Sorry, it all counts. Oh, my. Had you... at any time during your life, speaking of that, at any time during your life, have you thought what you might like as a final message on your tombstone?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, this arrived in the 60s. I had an old leather jacket of which I was inordinately fond, and it was covered in Guinness and blood and the usual.
Yes, sir.
And I sent it off to the cleaner, my wife sent it off to the cleaner, and it came back. And pinned on it was a large notice saying, "Sycamore Cleaners." Mm-hmm. It distresses us to return work which is not perfect. Mm. So I'm having that on my tombstone.
Oh, my.
That's my epitaph.
Lovely. Now, the movie Venus, which is currently playing in a handful of cities around the country, and I guess will be released wider shortly. Tell us about the film and who's in it.
Well, it's a film I love doing, and it's a film I do want people to see. It's quite a remarkable film. It's about a dirty old man and a sluttish young woman.
Well, there you go.
And you can guess which part is mine.
And there's a considerable age difference in the characters, isn't there?
Absolutely. He is a very old man, and she's a child. And what it is, in fact, the film is an examination of those cliches, dirty old man and all that. It's an examination of those cliches, and you'll see a beautiful story.
Now, I don't mean to pry, but in your lifetime, has there ever been a relationship for you like that, where the woman was quite young, much younger than you?
Oh, yeah.
That's good. Excellent. We're gonna show people a clip of the film here. Do you want to mention who might be in it or what we're going to see?
Well, yes, this is a young... This is a scene when this old guy, me, takes care of this 20-year-old girl. And she wants to be a model. And I get her a job as a model. But she's not the kind of model she had in mind. It's a nude model for people to paint.
Oh, yes.
And she insists that I leave the room. And I said, but no, I'm here to do that.
Oh, man.
Out.
Yeah.
So I'm thrown out. And I think it's after the bit I've been thrown out, you'll see.
All right, let's take a look. Venus, Peter O'Toole. Is everything all right? Oh, that's very cute. Well, I couldn't be happier for you. Looks like a wonderful movie, and currently playing in the selected cities and then eventually around the country. Happy New Year. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Good to see you,
Happy New Year to you, David.
Thank you very much.
Many congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Peter O'Toole, everybody. We'll be right back with Mark Maron.
Was never waiting for us, girl. It ran one step ahead as we followed in the dance. Between the parted pages and we're pressed in love's hot fevered iron like a striped pair of pants. Arthur's Park is melting in the dark, all the sweet green icing flowing down. Someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it, 'cause it took so long to bake it, and I'll never have the recipe again. Recall the yellow cotton dress foaming like a wave on the ground around your knees. The birds like tender babies in your hands, and the old men playing checkers by the trees. Arthur's Park is melting in the dark, all the sweet green icing flowing down. Someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it, 'cause it took so long to bake it, and I'll never have that recipe again. Oh no! There will be another song for me, for I will sing it. There will be another dream for me, someone will bring it. I will have the things that I desire, and let my passion flow like rivers through the sky. And after all the loves of my life, oh, after all the loves of my life, I'll be thinking of you and wondering why. dark, all the sweet green icing flowing down. Someone left the cake out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it, 'cause it took so long to bake it, and I'll never have that recipe again.
Oh, come on. What do you think? Hey, buddy. Will Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Webb. Oh, I loved it. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Paul Schaefer. 5:45. 5:45. What do you, let's do it again. Come on. Thank you for watching. Good night, everybody.
Now, stay tuned for Craig Ferguson. This is Alan Coulter speaking. Good night, everybody.